are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king. Knowledge is power.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey.
Whoa. Welcome to the Showboys Podcast, the only place on the entire internet that is getting you ready for the House of Dragon coming this fall. No one else is doing this, only us.
Just
Thrones. We're here to
Yes.
remind everyone how great this show is.
Yes.
Remind them that it's not necessarily 10 years old because it just ended in 2019. So it's brand new. It's a brand new show. But yeah, here we are. Season 5 breakdown, recap, reaction. Mike has lots of reactions. He's
That's what we hear. That's what we hear.
I
Yeah.
have one reaction.
slowly breaking apart inside
Yeah.
and just realizing that he hates this show.
Yeah.
And he won't disclose why. And that's why we're here this evening, is to really dig into Mike's psyche and understand why he hates this show. He's in the hot take seat over there on the
Always.
on the right. Usually it's the other way around up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, good evening. I'm Nick. There's Mike. There's Chad. How are you guys this evening? We'll start with you, Chad.
I'm great. I'm ready. I'm
Are
excited.
you excited?
Yes, very excited.
Is
I
this
will
your
give
favorite
myself-
season?
No, well, I was thinking about that. I think 6 might. It's a tie between 4 and 6 probably for me. But 5's really good. Yeah, I love 5. It's got one of my favorite episodes, period, in it.
Right.
So, but yeah, outside of that, I'm doing great.
Good. Michael?
Right now I'm okay.
Last night you were not at all.
I was not last night, and also it could very well change in the near future. Tonight, my level of okayness. We had some family come over. They brought us dinner. They brought us Chipotle. We love Chipotle. And asked for light hot sauce like usual because don't want to disrupt the tum-tum, especially when I'm going to be sitting here in front of the computer for 3 hours.
Right.
In typical Chipotle fashion, though, we're going to have to break this down. When you ask for light anything, they give you extra.
Extra, yeah.
If you ask for extra anything,
They give
they
you light.
hardly give you anything.
Yeah.
So ask for light hot sauce. They dumped like half the container on it. And I tried to power through because I didn't want to be rude, right? And like not eat the free food that was given to me by our guests. That was very nice of them. Didn't want to waste their money or be rude. So I tried to power through and eat as much as I could. I ate like half the bowl, but I was like, my hair was wet because I was sweating. Like it was a lot of hot sauce, guys. Like I couldn't feel my lips.
His hair was wet.
Yeah, like I was like real sweaty.
Yeah.
Skull sweat.
It's just such a bizarre way to say it. My hair was wet.
Yeah. So I'm okay now, but who knows what my fate will be in an hour or 2 or 3.
I will say that the guys at work eat Chipotle. There are a couple of them that literally eat it for every meal. But I have personally gotten sick from Chipotle a couple times, and a couple of the other guys that eat it like once a year have gotten sick from it. I'm like, dude, how do these guys who eat this crap every day never get sick from it? But everybody else that eats it like once every 6 months ends up getting sick from it.
I had a coworker or a couple that like have gotten sick from it from Purple, and I don't know what was wrong with them, because then there would be people from like all through my college and then at Purple that you could slam it every day for a month and you'd be fine. You'd actually probably feel better about yourself. But listen, so that issue, so I always had that issue with like the sour cream, because the dummies would like pour it all on like the one corner of the bowl, and then it's just like a pit of sour cream over here, and then your food's over here. So I started getting sour cream on the side, right?
Nice.
So that you do the same thing. I basically at this point get, you know, guac on the side,
everything is
side,
on the
everything
side.
on the side.
Nick constructs
right?
his bowl.
Yeah. But what you do is get the hot sauce and the sour cream, and you mix them together, and you have dragon sauce, and it's so good.
That would have been very fitting for tonight.
Yeah,
actually, you know.
It's an intriguing thought. I'm not the biggest fan of sour cream. I go through kicks with it where I like it, and then times where I just despise it. But it's I gotta be honest. I know that the bowl is probably the number one selling thing, but it's just not the same without the tortilla, man. I can't do the bowl. I try.
Put the tortilla in the bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd just rather get a burrito. Just
Yeah,
like a
burritos
bundle of joy, you know?
That's exactly what they are. It's so weird. They are bundles of joy.
Bundle of joy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try the dragon sauce meta in future trips. But like you, Chad, not a huge fan of sour cream, but Chipotle sour cream is like straight crack. Like I don't know.
It's weird.
It's like the it's like the liquidity of it. It's like very
viscosity is the word.
Yes, viscosity.
What liquidity?
Like, I don't know. I mean,
that liquidity is a thing, but not anything
not
to do
the
with
thing
liquid.
you're thinking.
But yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like borderline the consistency of water, but like still has like the sour creaminess to it. It's just I could almost drink it with a straw and be like, this is amazing.
It's a milkshake. It's
Yeah.
thick in the middle, creamy on the outside.
Yeah. I just always assumed for the longest time before I actually got it that it was just from being warm and it was like melted a little bit, but it's never warm. It's always like just above freezing.
Yeah, it's refreshing. Like I could just take a spoonful of that after like a hot day in the summer and just be like, man, I feel so much better now.
Man, they heat you up and cool you down, huh, Mike? That's impressive.
Yeah. Well,
wintertime, you take some of that hot sauce, get your hair wet.
little shot of sour cream.
Yeah.
All right. Enough Chipotle talk. That's not why we're here. Ugly Kid Joe Cross, though, he's disgruntled. He says it's a sad thing when someone is forced to watch something for the content.
We're sorry.
See? He understands my plight. He gets it. And
pretty sure that's going to be me
forced.
here during Mr. Robot. So I think you'll be all right.
Dang.
I think you're going to survive. If I got to do it, you're gonna do it.
No faith in the robot.
No faith in the thrones.
What are we doing tonight, Nick?
Yeah. So I think we're gonna, since we're so deep into the thrones at this point, I liked how we did it the last episode. They're basically everything's pretty well established. Who's who, who's what, storylines where. Definitely this season is where it kind of set in for me, and I was like, the show really simplifies as time goes on, which is kind of logical because people die all the time and storylines get combined and lopped off. And at this point, I really feel like it's pretty manageable, especially as they start doing what at the time people were aggravated about, where they would just not cover Bran for like a whole season, which was kind of this season.
Yeah.
There's like one or two storylines this season that really did not get a lot of light. And this is where they start doing that because they're really focusing in on like the 5 or 6 threads we have going on at this point. Whereas like season 1 and 2, there's like 15 threads, which is really crazy because especially in this season, right? We have some characters moving about that are in places they're not normally at, right? You got Stannis in the north, you got Tyrion in Essos. So we get to see Dorne with Jaime and Bronn down there. So people are moving about. We're getting a little bit of variety in that sense. And I really do feel like this season is kind of that pivot point, right? Into the later half, obviously, of the whole series where knowing what's coming, you really see like where the dominoes are just lining up to be tipped over at the end.
Right.
So I mean, we're really just going to dig into what we think is important, what we want to cover. And at this point, I mean, we can start at the end and work our way backwards. We can start with what Mike hates the most about this show. We can start about what Chad loves the most about this show.
Yeah.
Do we want to hit up the one answer the boys reply?
Yeah, sure. Hit it up.
So Joe says, I know nothing about this season. Such a shame, shame, shame. Another shame is the fact that everyone keeps talking about Stannis' hot daughter. I did not see that coming. Arya did not see it coming either. She hasn't seen much of anything these days. Must hit hard at home. I enjoyed the interaction between Dany and Tyrion, but that I will carry on and let her feed her dragons some carrion. Well, time for me to fly.
trying to force a rhyme there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great reply. Thank you.
It was great, and also like a great kind of summary of everything that happened. So, Nick has momentarily passed away. So
he has momentarily turned into me.
Yes,
in pixel form.
He is. He is the man of many faces.
Yeah,
over there. So why don't we start with your favorite part of this season?
No, I don't want to start there. I don't want to start.
You don't want to start there? Okay,
no,
then I'll start with.
Yeah, let's start with you.
But I want Nick to be here so he can hear. I'll start.
Okay, well, how about this?
My favorite part.
Okay, there you go.
I got to think of a favorite part real quick.
Okay, well, I was just going to ask you just your general thoughts on the season.
General thoughts. Okay. I thought it was good until the end. Yes, because of things that happen. No, I really enjoyed Bronn and Jaime's like bro trip to Dorne. That was pretty cool. I like Jaime and thought that although it was very weird, the moment he had with his daughter right before she died, rip, was touching, and I thought it was nice for Jaime to like have I don't know, like a good interaction with somebody that he loves, and like finally, you know, something kind of goes his way, only to immediately not go his way. Like,
typical Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah. So that was cool, but then also sad to see. I really liked Jorah and Tyrion's road trip, especially when they go through the old Valyrian ruins and run into the stone men. That was cool. I really loved the shot where they're, you know, just scooting down the river and the dragon flies over, and they're like, "Oh crap! The stories are real."
And Tyrion's like face on it. It's so good, man.
Yeah, I also just like the Jorah, you know, the little bit of his story we got in these episodes here in season 5, where, you know, they get caught by the slavers, and then Tyrion, you know, outwits the captors into, you know, basically selling Jorah into the fighter pits, whatever. And then convinces the slaver to also take him, and then Jorah being awesome and just wrecking everyone because he, you know, needs to get back to his love, Dany.
Yep.
I can't wait for that awkward love triangle to play out in season 6. Those were cool. What are they called in Marine? The people that are killing the Unsullied.
The Harpies.
The Harpies, yes. That was a cool storyline. I like what's going on with Grey Worm. The scene of Grey Worm and Barristan. Is that them like fighting off the Harpies, and then you know, both of them getting wounded.
Do you think they're dead?
Fatally, and Grey Worm. I thought Grey Worm was a goner, but no, they kept him, thankfully. Somebody didn't die. It was a miracle. Oh yeah, there were good parts. Of course, you know, what did I call him in our Discord chat, Nick? White Walker Willie.
WW Willie.
WW Willie. Assaulting Hardhome. That was cool. Yeah, there were a lot of cool moments, but one moment ruined the entire show for me. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Nick,
my favorite. Okay, I figured my favorite part.
Go ahead.
Everything that happened to Cersei was my favorite because I hate Cersei. So
wow,
her getting arrested, and then publicly shamed. By the way, side note, I kept every time that I forget what her character is called in the show, but the shame lady,
the nun,
who kept coming in and being like, confess.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys seen Ted Lasso?
No.
Okay, well, she is the owner of the football club that hires Ted Lasso and Ted Lasso.
Oh,
and
wow.
so like I kept like seeing her face and I'm like, why does this lady look so familiar? And then
this much of her face.
Yeah, exactly. Her eyes, nose, and like upper mouth. I was like, you look very familiar. And then in the last episode there where she goes on the shame walk, I was like, okay, I got to look this up. So I thought that was her. I looked up Ted Lasso and then saw that she was in, credits for Game of Thrones. And I was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Nice. Okay, Nick, we were talking general thoughts on season 4 or 5 rather.
Well, I will start with all the parts with Cersei. Screw you, Mike. I knew that was going to be your sentiment. I told Chad this.
Yep.
You're just a bully. That's all there is to it. But if you remember, I think this was in the early days of the Discord, or maybe even like G-Chat at Purple, I would send you the like shame GIF meme of her, knowing that you didn't know like what it was about. But like
so many good GIFs that come out of this.
I love
I use that
meme
all the time.
Yeah,
and I never knew where it came from, and
that's
now
where
I do.
It comes from. The great old atonement of Queen Mother Cersei.
Yes.
Though she is kind of acting Hand of the King, or is Hand of the King, more or less.
Is basically the king.
Right.
Yeah, basically the king, the queen. But general thoughts on this season, like I said earlier, it definitely has that second half of the series feel to it, where a lot of storylines are gone. We're kind of getting right down into where everything must meet at some point, obviously.
Yeah.
And this season I like a lot because they're in so many different places that we have not been, right? Whether it's Hard Home, we're getting to see a lot like other parts of the North. It was cool to actually see like a village, fortress, town thing, like not south of the wall. Because obviously Crasher's Keep doesn't count. That's just a weird, creepy rape pit. And the Wildling camp, where they were all camped way up north, like that was just an army camp, really. So it was cool to see that. Obviously, Stannis making his move. Stannis has a great arc in this season, just because we get a lot of Stannis. We get kind of a lot of Stannis at the end of his wits, because he's like kind of really running out of options here. Then obviously I love Varys and Tyrion, and I just love Tyrion doing his thing wherever he goes. And he's just kind of out in the world. We see Volantis, get a lot of exposition on like the Doom and all these things that happen across the sea. And even though we've been following Daenerys around over there for obviously the whole entire series, for some reason, like this season just really blows it open, because we actually get like content in the city, like with the Sons of the Harpy, and things like that. So that's probably like generally my favorite thing about this season, is like we are all over the place, and we have familiar characters going to very new places that we've only like heard about or seen a little bit about. So it's really the travel and the settings switch up on this one, and the revisit of old places like Winterfell, but with the Boltons in charge, and like that's all just sad, creepy, and just depressing everywhere those bastards go.
I got to also say, secondary favorite moment was when Theon finally like gets his head out of his butt and decides to help Sansa.
Oh, dude, that death scene is so brutal, man. When he throws
the way her head hits the ground is awesome.
So good.
She needed that. Like that's like the only thing that would fix that character is like head pavement from like 5 stories up. Like
I just got to get old Bolton Jr.
Yeah.
I just need him to hit the pavement.
I totally forgot. Like, I was like, oh wow, Stannis just gets wiped and then just gets like sword killed by
Brienne.
Like she's just like waiting. She just shows up.
I love the way they set that whole thing up though, because really through the whole season she's staring at that window waiting for the candle to light up, and then the moment she looks away, the candle lights up. So I love that. I also love how badass Stannis is in that scene. He just like takes down the two dudes that are trying to kill him. I also love how frustrated he is when he like lays up against the tree and he's like, and he like looks down at his bleeding leg. I think that's all really well done.
This season, following up on like conversations about that actor, like this season, like he is really well acted.
Yes.
Like
I think
really
he's been through the whole show though.
Oh, for sure. But like he's definitely shed like any of those awkward moments from earlier in the season, because it finally feels like this character we know. Like we know what makes him tick, and like we see him not in this like weird shell of a man. We see him like starting to really kind of like get angry, frustrated, and like do things he doesn't want to do.
Right.
Well, he had 5 seasons to finally learn his character.
Figure out what's going on in the show. Yeah.
Like, oh, I get it. He's like, crap, I die? No.
Yeah. That was the actor's frustration, not Stannis.
Finally,
should have done better the first 3 seasons. What were you gonna say, Chad?
Yeah, I don't remember, but are you done with your thoughts?
I think so. We're about to start really digging into like
let's just dig into it.
I'll do one more. It can be real quick. But like I actually started to really like Stannis this season, and I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind this guy, even though the weird fire stuff is weird. But then he like did the super weird fire stuff, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. But it was satisfying to see it fail, because like I can't stand this weird fire religion that the lady in red just seems to be making up as she goes.
Yeah, it does seem that way, but it does seem like at every turn they're proving themselves. And I do like that throughout the whole show, this religion seems to be the only one that's ever doing anything that they're saying that they're doing, or showing it at least. And it even leads up to that final scene where she comes out of the tent and the snow's melting. She's all excited. And then she runs over to Stannis, and like everything just starts crumbling around Stannis all at once.
That was an amazing lead up. Like, because exactly like you said, again, they're like, okay, whatever they did, it's working. Like it's done the entire series so far. But then his wife is hanging in a tree. They go
the
to
second
march.
Dude comes up and he's like, can't be any worse than treason or like,
mutiny
or mutiny. And it's like, oh no, your wife hanged herself.
It's way worse.
Daughter.
Doesn't he find out right after that even more, like half of their forces abandoned again and took like all the horses. So like his wife just unalived herself. Half of his army left with their horses. And then he's like, whatever, we're marching on. And he marches on. And to his surprise, Bolton's army is like sprinting at him and
the red lady
decimates.
Takes off.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She does. She high horses out of there.
Yeah.
But and then he just gets decimated.
I love it, dude. Because he's so confident. He like walking up to that scene, he's like telling him where to dig trenches. The castle siege starts at sunrise, and they're like, there's not going to be a siege. And then the panning shot from above where you see how much bigger Bolton's army is.
I love seeing Bolton like surround them.
So cool, dude.
The high shots were amazing. Which I'm sure a lot of that was probably CGI'd people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And this still looked really, really cool.
This is unfortunately another form of them skipping a battle like they did in season 1 or 2, where Tyrion gets knocked out and wakes up and it's all over. Fortunately, from here on out, that's going to end the skipping of the battles, which is good. But I did want to see a little bit more of a fight. We see kind of the aftermath here as Stannis is kind of lumbering around. But I did think it was odd, because was that the season finale that happened, or 9?
That was 9.
Might have been. Yeah, so 9's typically the big.
No, that was season finale, because they burned her daughter. That was the end of
9 was White Walker Willie.
No, that's 8.
That's 8.
Oh,
and that I do want to
White Walker Willie.
Those last 3 episodes are just
9
so crazy.
9 burns her daughter. That's the end of that one. And then basically 10 gets right to Stannis getting mopped up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So we talked about Brienne there for a minute, and maybe this a theme in more than 2 places, but so Brienne's in most of the season watching the tower, right? Waiting for something to happen. Like she has an expectation, like this is going to happen and I'm going to be able to move forward, right, with my mission. The same thing has happened with Arya, where she is doing the oyster thing, and she'll see it when she sees it, right? That's what she's told. Like, go to the docks every day. You'll know when you see the thing you're supposed to see. Well, the one day she goes to the dock, she sees douchebag Kingsguard, whereas Brienne saw Stannis, right? So we had 2 people with like a blood vendetta to kill somebody. They were waiting for one thing. This other thing just appeared for them while they were waiting. So she was waiting to get to Sansa. Stannis shows up. She's like, I want to kill that guy. And then Arya is, waiting to kind of earn her stripes here with the many-faced god, and douchebag Kingsguard, I don't know his name, but he rolls up and she's like, I'm gonna kill you.
He's on the list.
It's Mirren Trant is his name.
And kudos to, the writing, I guess, that character, because already, like, you're like, he was horrible every time I saw him.
Oh,
like, the whole rest season, and then they just doubled down on, like, wow, this guy really, really needs to die. Like,
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That scene though, where Arya, executes, I guess pun very intended there. Her revenge was very satisfying.
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. And totally brutal too. Like one of the most brutal scenes where she just slowly slices his neck. Like it's really good. I hate that character. Obviously that was taken up to like 10 in this season when they show what he's doing at the brothels. So I do like watching him through that whole sequence, like when the dude's singing and he gets like all embarrassed and like looks away. I just love seeing the little stuff. It's just like Joffrey's wedding, watching the people in the background.
Yeah.
When you've seen the show 5 times, like I have, like that's the things I pick up more now. So yeah, I love watching him. He's just he had to die, and I'm very happy that it ended so brutally awful for him, because he out of everyone that gets it in the show, he deserved it the most.
Yeah. Joe says, I think when Tyrion gets knocked out, one of his other identities takes over and wins the battle.
Joe's such a troll.
He is. Troll kid Joe Cross.
But yeah, I don't know if that those parallels happen anywhere else in the season, but those 2 are definitely very similar in terms of we get some called upon deaths.
I'm interested to see. You guys have already seen this, so you know the answer to my question, but I'm interested, if I continue to watch the show, to see. Obviously, Arya's distraction did not pan out well for her. The last scene of Arya is her with, my favorite, the man, and his whole like mind trick with the faces, and that was like really, really cool. But then she is now blind, and her eyeballs seem to have been like burned out of her head. So her revenge, her blood vendetta did not pay off well for her. Obviously, when Brienne gets distracted by Stannis, it's like Chad said, the moment that Sansa finally lights the candle in the tower that she's been watching for who knows how many days.
Yeah.
Will Sansa and Brienne suffer a similar fate as Arya did when she followed her bloodlust as opposed to the original mission they were on?
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see how and if that pans out.
Yeah, I was curious because when you were doing your breakdown, you did not bring up your favorite dude. So I was curious how you liked that storyline through this season, because I know that you were waiting for him to come back and you were excited to see him again.
Yeah.
How did that pan out for you?
I thought it was really cool. I like how basically their temple is just like a suicide temple.
Yeah, it really is.
Just like,
assisted suicide.
yeah.
Like, here, drink this water.
Yeah,
You'll feel better.
yeah, exactly. And I thought it was interesting to see Arya's like training to become no one and become a girl of lies or whatever they phrased, however they phrased it. Like when she tells the story to the sick girl whose dad brings her there for mercy, right? And like convinced her, like, I was just like you once, super sick. My dad brought me here. I drank this water and I felt better. And then she she drinks it and then she dies. And then isn't that the face that she wore?
Yes. Yep.
When
which I think is a really, really cool callback to that whole scene. Yeah, I love the whole lying thing and how he like catches her when they're first training with the stick. Like every little thing that she lies about, he's catching her, and I think that's super cool. And I just really like Bravos as a city. It's just a freaking cool looking city. It's got that big statue in the background of all the shots. It just looks really, really cool.
Fun facts. I have them because I listened to the lore for season 5.
Okay. Yeah.
That statue is actually like a defensive measure because it has all sorts of like, they can pour oil out of it. Like basically there can be dudes all through the legs and there's little like kill holes all through it. So basically nothing can get through there. And if you do get through there, then there's just more boats inside of there. So that actually has a purpose. I thought maybe it was more just like a weird statue from like an old time ago, but it actually has a use.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah, and what was the other bit? Oh, the many-faced god, right? So it's interesting that obviously the many-faced god has this nod to like there's all these faces, right, hanging in the hall. But also Jakar there in the lore video explains that they call it the many-faced god because this god is basically present in everyone's religion.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically death. It's just known by many different names, many different faces, and that's why this dude's just like he's like the one god that's just like legit because he's in everyone's like he's the drowned god that the Iron Island refers to. Same thing, like calls people to the deep. One of the 7 is obviously the stranger, so he's in every religion. It's like that's another like backing really cool that they get with him because he's like he's everywhere. He's the old gods, the new gods, he's all the gods. He's death, which is really cool.
Super cool. I remember not necessarily liking this storyline the first time I watched it.
Weird.
It is weird, but the more that I watch it, the more I like it. And I think it's because I've probably gotten everything I possibly can get out of every other storyline. So like the ones that I didn't grasp onto as much, much like the band, the Robin Hood dudes. I can't remember their name. In season 3.
Yeah. Without banners. Brotherhood of No Banners. Whatever.
Yeah. Brotherhood Without Banners. I didn't like that storyline originally. I loved it this time watching it through. So I definitely really liked this whole Bravo storyline. I think it pays off really well in the end. I think it's important to what comes later. So I'm gathering that now this time around versus being like, oh, it's so freaking boring. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, girl has no name, yada, yada, yada. Like, let's get on with it.
I love how he talks. Like, he's a man can't tell, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The way he refers to himself and her are amazing. I love it. I feel like I need to incorporate that into my regular
your daily talk.
Yes. When
your wife asks you a question, you're like, a man cannot know the answer to a question.
Yes, exactly. Oh man, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's kind of like Arya's situation. It's not good. And this has obviously been a very big season for her. In terms of like other seasons, we've kind of been following her along. With this one, like she's getting a lot of like one-on-one attention. The Hound's gone, so it's her and Jakar there, and weird, creepy servant girl also who is Jakar. Like just all sorts of confusing going on in there. And that's the other thing. That's really kind of the thing with the fire god, right? And all his servants, and then like the many-faced god. It's like they're so kind of abstract and obscure. Like the first watch, that's why like both those storylines, I was like, what is going on here?
Right.
It's just weird. I'm like, these guys, like this guy dies, he comes back to life 7 times. Like why? Like she's birthing shadow babies that are killing people. The many-faced god is just confusing because it's just a bunch of nothing's real. Like no name.
Yeah,
I do think it's important to note for me, because you guys again have seen this many times, but I like how she kind of loses her identity by throwing her clothes and stuff like into the bay or whatever, but she like hides a needle
can't do it to
in
needle
the rock, like so that little shred of her is still there, which is what plays into her going after
one of her names. One of her names on her list. It's definitely a cool touch.
That was cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's definitely storylines in the show that benefit 100% from multiple watch throughs of that said storyline, and this is definitely one of those storylines for me personally, just because, like Nick said, it can get a little confusing what's going on in this place and the way everything's set up, and it did feel slower than the rest of the other storylines going on in the season, so that didn't help it, I think, the first watch through. But I loved it this time, to be honest.
And even on a second watch, you're like trying to piece like too much together, or like because you kind of are looking at more things. So even with Arya, I was like, the reason she's going to the docks is because she was going to see something that when she knew, and I was like, oh, maybe like the point is she is supposed to kill him. Having forgot, I completely forgot she went blind, like complete surprise for me. And I was like, okay, that scratches that. Like she was not supposed to kill him, because I really realized that once like she kills him and she's like, I'm Arya Stark, right? She's kind of doing that revenge killing thing where she's not just namelessly killing.
She's not a girl.
She's not no one, or not a girl, or not nothing, no name, no face, but she's like Arya Stark, and hey, you killed my friend, I am now brutally going to kill you.
Yes, brutally is. I also really enjoy I'm going to call him the skinny man. I don't know if he even has a name, but the gambler. I just like the background of him, that he like gambles on people's like expeditions, if they're going to survive or not. I think that's so cool. That's such a cool thing to throw into this world, that this dude just sits here and gambles on people's lives like that. And then I like that they bring up like, well, what if he dies and then he doesn't want to pay the family? So it's obvious that he's maybe not he's a gambler, dude. So like, of course, if the family's going to die, or if the guy's going to die on the expedition, he's probably not going to pay the family like he's saying that he's going to, So I really like that. I really love his obsession with oysters as well. It's just like,
I love everyone's obsession with oysters.
Yeah.
And then it's also, it's just weird because I was like, man, everyone's just slamming oysters around here. Like they're just buying them in the brothel, and I'm like, dang. All right. But yeah, so that's Arya. That's a good one. I think I want to shift to this because it touches on something Mike alluded to in his intro bit, but also a new character.
Hot sauce? No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. So we have a pretty important new character in this season, and that would be the new High Septim, the High Sparrow, right?
Yeah.
That Mr. I am of the people. I'm just a man of God, and of the seven.
I could really relate to that guy,
Yeah, like, I wanted to ask you, like, how are you digesting like this change in King's Landing, right? Because even the militant, right? They're telling when Littlefinger returns, they're like, a lot's changed around here. Like, no flesh peddling for you, man. Like, not good
I do love his quote there where he's like, "We both peddle fantasies. Mine just happened to be entertaining." It's like, it's such a good line.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think, King's Landing obviously gets turned on its head there. I'm not of the fanatical religion myself. I do know one of our former coworkers probably would love this. Shout out Ray. He probably wishes he could be the High Lancel, he really
Lancel.
beefed up a lot.
Yeah,
like
he got buff.
he's not a skinny man anymore.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, dude. I love that, and it's just so good that we didn't even. I don't even think we talked about him on the show after Blackwater. Just totally forgot about him. Like he got shot with the arrow. That was it, and then now he magically reappears here like 2 or 3 seasons later, and he's like this religious fanatic. I love that touch. I love that they kept the same actor because they do.
Yeah,
we've seen it multiple times. They've swapped actors. Marcella's different. The Hound or the Mountain's different. So
especially those Lannisters.
Really cool. Yeah,
they're all I guess they all kind of like even reusing what's his face to be another Lannister.
Yeah. I caught that too, and I couldn't remember if we talked about that. Did we? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But Tommen's a reused actor from another Lannister background character from like season 1.
Nice. No,
good for him though. He was a background like filler
cool.
Lannister, and then they were like, you know what, you want to be like the star of the next couple seasons,
right?
Right. Yes, Mom, I made it.
Yeah. So Mike, if you remember when the Karstarks went in and killed those Lannisters,
he was one of those.
He was one of those. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Tommen. Yep.
Yeah. I love Tommen and feel bad that he's just like being puppeteered by Cersei. I hate Cersei.
And
I don't know
Marjorie.
if you but really Cersei. I'm cool with
Bad mouth Cersei, man.
Yeah, that's that's Nick's girl, man. Don't be bad mouthing Cersei.
I have nothing to hold on to anymore when it comes to Game of Thrones, so I'm just gonna badmouth everyone.
Tom's a good boy though.
No, Tommen, he's a good boy. He's good. Pure heart. He got to see Bob's for the first time, and he's just like head over heels. Yeah. Oh shoot, was I gonna? Oh, so the religious fanatics here, the Sparrows. While I am not a fan of religious fanatics by any means, love these guys. Thank you for finally bringing Cersei's debauchery into the light and making her
Tyrells
atone.
Yeah, what about the Tyrells?
No. This isn't about them.
It is though.
No. This is about Cersei.
Cersei brought them in to put the Tyrells in their place, and it kind of just backfired a little bit.
Exactly. I'm not a big fan of what's his name?
Loras.
Yes. I feel bad for him, right? But like I don't feel bad for Cersei.
He kind of got pigeonholed there. Oh, Marjorie really got like kind of cornered, like tripped up real bad.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Hey, lie. Thank you. I'm asking 2 questions. You're gonna lie. Sit down. All right. Brothel boy, get in here.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do take issue though. Like they're having these little hearings, and then he's just like, he has a birthmark high on his thigh, and High Sparrow's just like, "Ow!"
Toast.
Like
they don't even look at the birthmark.
Didn't even look at it.
Yeah, they don't even check. Like,
because then they would be down in the dungeons too for
just
engaging in that blasphemous act. But no, like I did feel bad for Marjorie though in the prison. Didn't feel bad for Cersei. And I just love I don't know the character's name, but the lady from Ted Lasso, the Shame nun, for some reason call her Shame Nun. She comes in with the water and the ladle, and she's like, confess.
Yeah.
Confess. Confess. Oh, you're not gonna confess that? She just like whacks him on the head, dumps the water out, leaves. I think just having somebody come in and only say one word to me in that like docile tone repeatedly would drive me insane.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And you're in a dark dungeon, you haven't eaten for days, you haven't drank for days. Yeah, I really enjoy her character. I don't know what it is about me personally, but nuns just terrify me, dude. I don't know what it is. Like, if you're gonna make a horror movie and you want me to like it, it's got to have a nun in some sort of horror.
Yeah. So the nun is scary.
The nun is terrifying. Yeah, I won't. Yeah, absolutely awful. And it's probably not even a scary movie to 80% of the world. But yeah, I like the horror element they got going on. I think George R.R. Martin said that this is like loosely based on the Protestant Reformation of the Catholic Church back in the day, which is really cool that this has like ties to history, like a lot of the stuff on the show does. I like the scene of them going when they first show up, like going and, wrecking the brothels and breaking all the alcohol barrels and all that stuff. I think it's
they get
super cool.
The carving into
on their head. I think Jonathan Pryce as the High Sparrow is freaking phenomenal. I think he's a great actor. I think the way he plays this character is brilliant. I also like that if you listen, it's noted that these guys have been in power in the past and they were taken out of power and they were kind of waiting in the shadows until Tywin died and they can move back into King's Landing. So I think that's a really cool touch that as soon as Tywin died, these guys started moving into
it's because was it the Mad King or was it who was before him? One of the Targaryens, basically the Sparrows tried to come down hard on them for incest relations and that stuff, and they finally took a stand on the Targaryens, and I think they won that tout. But then the survivor, which might have been the Mad King, like then challenged them. He was like, his first thing was like, all right, I'm legitimate because I'm not breaking any of your rules, but like, kill me. Like, there's something he challenged them about, and then, but he just like whooped them into like suppression. And then obviously not Tywin's type of folk either.
And I think it is really cool because at the beginning of the season, when I think it might even be the like second scene of the season where they're at Tywin's body and Jaime's like they're going to come and take this all from us. Like they're waiting out there to see that he's dead. As soon as they see that he's dead, they're going to rip us apart. And you don't think in your mind that it's going to be religious fanatics barreling into you think it's going to be some sort of army trying to come
quite
in.
Like literally.
Quite literally, yeah.
Yeah. I do agree with the High Sparrow. He's just so like meek and unassuming until like he gets the power over you, and then it's like he turns into a whole other person. It's actually pretty brilliant, his character.
It is. I love every minute of it. I also like that. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
The bit about my favorite part with the High Sparrow, and that really kind of resonates with me, is when he's I believe it's Cersei he's explaining it to, but the original like temple beneath the temple, like basically that room. That's a really cool scene because I really kind of like those more basic, rudimentary, like original places of worship. Those are way cooler than like a mega church next to a highway.
Right.
A lot of shade I just threw there.
Well, being the resident like churchgoer Christian of the podcast, I agree. I'm very much in agreement with that.
No names on it. He's like simple. It's sturdy. Like it's nice down here. Like real closeness, right, to the faith. So I like that. And that was Cersei right before he's like
what's gonna happen if we strip your whatever he says away. I love that. The scene that I was thinking of is the previous High Septim. I don't think he's called the High Sparrow. In the brothel where he's got like God over his shoulder and he's picking out that he's like you've served us well, and he's like, thank you, Father. Like that's so good, bro. It's so good.
So weird.
Absolutely loved it.
Yes, and they made him atone too, which is great.
Sure did.
Yeah, man, rough. But I'm so glad I now know the origin of that gif. It makes it so much more powerful whenever I shame somebody.
Right. Yeah. That's why I'm like, if you know, you know, but like when you hit that shame, it's like, oh yeah, that's a hard shame right
that's
there.
Some
like
deep shame right there.
Yeah. Like if you want to torture someone, if you want to like bring someone, like shame them, like get that lady with her bell and just
shame away.
Shame. Now I was trying to remember. I do remember that, like, I think obviously when this was airing, Daenerys, that actor, she finally obviously was popular enough of a character where she had some contract power, and she was basically like, I'm only going to come back if you stop like showing my bobs and making me naked on screen. So like, that's a thing we're not going to see from her again.
They're like, all right, so Cersei, you're going to do all the heavy lifting here in the last 10 minutes.
Well,
I can't. Is this true?
I
I'm
know.
trying to remember. I was
Yes,
like, that's not really
it
her
is.
body.
No, yeah, that's
Correct.
a body double, and you can tell.
Yep.
You can tell in a couple scenes it looks obvious that they put her face on that body with a computer. I think it's pretty noticeable. But yes, that is true. They did use a body double for her for whatever reason.
Because I was watching, I was like, I think I remember that being a thing because Leanna Headley here just like really just like bore it all, and like she just isn't in like the position where she needs to do that. Even though 300 we saw not nearly as much as like what we saw at the end of this season, but
she's in 300.
Yes,
she's the queen, Gorgo.
No way.
Yeah, bruh.
While we're on Cersei, okay, go ahead, Mike. And then
I was just gonna say like, shoot, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Do you like Cersei just a little bit more now, knowing that she's in 300?
I mean, I like the actress.
It's not the actress. That's the issue.
Yeah, the actress isn't in the story, Nick. Being an incestual like power monger, like
so. But
queen. Anyways,
but you're really hung up on the incest thing, aren't you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay, but it wasn't back then, though.
And Doran,
I'm not watching it back then, guys. Come on.
But like even at Doran, they were like, it's completely normal.
Yeah, I love
Jamie.
that.
Like Jamie was like kind of like getting cozy down. He's like, yeah, it's normal.
It's
like, hey, Marcella, guess what?
I could really find a spot here, you know?
Yeah.
They just like, it's crazy because like Jamie's like he just like gets separated from Cersei and his brain just goes different places, and like that's always the driving factor between like their conflict, because once again he goes far away from Cersei, he gets some ideas in his head, and here he is just telling Marcella, like I'm like, does Cersei approve of this conversation?
Right.
Like you're just gonna tell Marcella that you're her dad? Like this is one of those things, Jamie, where Cersei's gonna want to murder you probably for it.
Which is in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, she's definitely gonna die, because everyone that's found out has immediately died. So
yeah,
I remember what I was going to say.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. That's a good point, Mike.
She told her dad and he died.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to say about Cersei, that when you guys talking about body doubles and stuff, it makes sense because like there were plenty of scenes with Jamie and stuff where she remains completely modest.
Clothed. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden for like 10 minutes in this episode, just complete like head to toe. I found that very shocking. So having a body double kind of makes sense
definitely.
And one of the things I did like about that walk though is like her gaze to the Red Keep the whole time. Like she's just like got her eye on the prize. Like she just knows like she has to get back to the Red Keep, and she can have some semblance of like her life back and like maybe control her power.
And she's gonna murder everyone.
And she gets back there, and she has a new friend. Obviously her latest best friend, he's there greeting her and comforting her, but then she has a new friend.
There's a new gray
new
old
friend. New old friend. Zombie friend. Weird. Like the mountain man. He's back and he's scary.
I love those scenes throughout the season where you see Qyburn working on him and him like free. Yeah, I love Qyburn. I think he's a great character. I think he's got like a very Doctor, like a Frankenstein feel to him, really. So I think that's really cool, and seeing it pay off at the end there with his like super swollen purple face behind that helmet is
his like cheeks popping out of the eye holes of his helmet.
And then
very bloated from all the injections.
And then the fact that he says that like he's taken a vow of silence until all of the Queen's enemies are destroyed, and I just think that's so cool, dude. I love it. It does feel very video gamey. That might be why I like it so much. There's a lot actually in this season that does, and when we get to Dorne, I'll touch on that a little bit more. But I do want to break down, because we did talk about the sparrows, but we didn't talk really about Cersei and why she brought the sparrows. So I do want to touch on that a little bit, because I think it's very cool that it's kind of a drawback to Tywin's quote where he's like, I don't trust you because you're not nearly as smart as you think you are. And this kind of plays out here where she's playing the sparrows really to fight back against the Tyrells. That's her plan all along. and then it totally flips on her in the end. And I love that. I love that they take, what I think they take a small quote from season 4 and then make it into a storyline where she's literally not as smart as she thinks that she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
also, I love how Granny Savage like couldn't like, strong arm her way out of that situation like she has.
Yeah, it's really cool that they're like very. I mean, it has a very like devout religious feeling to it. Like they're not going to sway on this stuff. Like this is their line of thought.
Right.
It kind of also reminds me of the dude when Jaime gets his hand cut off, where he's like, dude, there's nothing that you can do. Like, I'm sorry, your money is not going to help. Your gold's not going to help. Your father's not here to help you. It's the same kind of feeling that Cersei's going through here, which I think is also really, really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, they've always been under the shadow of their father. So like, this is the first time they've really been emancipated as like truly, like Cersei's truly like can do whatever she wants. So like, this is like really her first hand at like, I'm just going to start, playing my cards. And hey, there's this like really powerful card that's going to like do a lot of good for me. But it's got like a bad like after effect.
Right.
And, it kind of backfires. And, that's something that Tywin would know. Like, no, there's a reason we keep people like where they are in their place, and we don't do certain things. And like, that's one of those things you don't do because it's not worth it. But Cersei's a little wild.
Yeah.
When it comes
Is this the season where she basically like forms the new small council?
Yeah. Breaks it down, you mean?
Yeah.
She adds one, removes everyone else.
Yeah.
And Grand Maester Pastel, where like he's like, oh, it's gotten really small lately after she sends the Tyrell to like Bravos and stuff. And she's like, she just said something that alluded to like, you can get the hell out too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. I also like Uncle Kevin or whatever his name is that kind of storms out of the council. I think that's Lancel's dad, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Dude, I just love how he has the most like random plain American name, like
Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin. Like like Cersei and like
Tywin, Tyrion,
and Kevin.
And Kevin.
But hey, they spell it exotically. It's because I watch with subtitles. Kevan.
Oh yeah,
Kevin.
But totally pronounce it Kevin.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's really got one over on the Tyrells here and kind of pigeonholed them in terms of breaking them down. Obviously, like you guys said, Granny can't really do much. Both her grandchildren are kind of trapped in their lies, if you will.
It's really here at the end of the day, this is, in my opinion, this is all Marjorie's fault. Like she is playing way out of her league with Sir. Like when she goes to Cersei goes to meet with her and she's like drinking and they have that like interaction where it's totally awkward and then they're laughing.
She's
I love
the queen.
This. Yeah.
Like she's technically the queen and like she's kind of throwing shade at Cersei and Cersei's like
what
being
do you want
nice.
me to refer to you as now?
Right.
Yeah. Like
he's trying to out Cersei.
Right. And she can't.
Just because she's the queen, she thinks she's got it. And like her granny probably would have been like, that was pretty stupid. Like don't like antagonize like the meanest bitch in the entire like city.
Bad idea, because Tommen, I know that you guys like Tommen.
He's a sweet boy.
He's a sweet boy, but damn, bro, that's not a good thing in this world. You know what I mean? It's not. He's worthless, really. And I think Marjorie even sees that in multiple scenes where she's frustrated about her brother getting locked in prison and goes to talk to him, and he's like,
not his fault.
Aren't you and mom getting along?
Yeah, that was like, great. That was a good line.
Yeah. So he's worthless. Like even in the trial or the hearing or whatever.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Yeah, he just watches them take her away. And even stops his guards. Like, yeah, don't kill all these people, which you could easily do. You know?
The guards were like instinctually like, let's murder them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, okay, that's weird.
Same with walking up to the steps in the first place, Tom, and he kind of like he's just got no backbone, dude. Like I get that.
Babyface Militant being like, "You can't walk through here." Like I'm the
Right.
king? ?
Yeah. And then he's just like, okay, we'll find another way. It's just it's weird because we're coming off of his brother Joffrey, who was like hopelessly evil.
Yeah.
And now this guy is like hopelessly good. So it's like the total polar opposite of the spectrum.
I would love to see this season, but reversed. Tommen first, and then Joffrey in the Militant. Like the Sparrows
that would be awesome.
I would love to see like Joffrey just like lay waste to them.
Yeah,
however,
that'd be great.
Or maybe they would somehow figure out a way to like break him down. Like to me, that's just like two immovable objects,
right?
And it would just be absolutely like those steps would have just been covered in blood. Like,
oh yeah. I honestly, I think if Cersei got thrown in there, I think Joffrey would have got thrown in there as well. I don't know that he. But
he does break down because he's a very he is weak. He's not
right.
He's only strong when he has like his
people around him. Right, exactly.
Joe says Tommen is the most useless 12-year-old. I know, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. He's not 12, right? He's like 16.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a little bit older. I do want to read the book so much more after watching this season because I do want more. Books always give way more context than we get in a show. Yeah. And I need to get through them too, but they're tough reads. Like even that first one is like, the problem is like when they introduce a character, and that probably stops after the first book, I'd imagine, but it's literally like a page worth of their titles. You know what I mean? It's like, just like I've been reading for like an hour and I read like 4 characters. So, you know what I mean?
Probably,
But I just want to see what is different because you were saying that the show is starting to become simpler in this season, and this is really the final season that they had books to go off of. From here on out, HBO takes it over and kind of goes their own direction with it. They didn't have books to go off of, and I think you'll notice that as we move on. But so yeah, I just want to see what direction they were heading, and I know that I kind of want to wait because the book, I think it's like
I want these illustrated ones you keep talking
about.
Dude,
they're beautiful. This is the illustrated edition. It's got like maps, all kinds of stuff in it. It's also got like I'll try to find a couple character portraits, but yeah, they're beautiful, dude. And that the sword, I can't remember. I think it's a Storm of Swords, which is the red one, the 3rd book. It's beautiful. They're just so big, dude. They're like Bible print as well. Like they're very tiny,
like size 6 font.
Yeah. So here's like a portrait of the White Walkers riding some giant spiders. But yeah, they're peppered throughout the whole book.
Nice.
But the most recent
pages also like Bible thickness, where it's basically like
I was gonna ask.
Tissue paper
writing on air.
Yeah, tissue paper. Yeah.
Any sense of like moisture, it instantly just like crinkles.
Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, it's definitely cool. It's cool to see how characters look in the books versus how they panned out on the show. There are like Tyrion looks very different. Here's Ned polishing his sword at the God's Wood.
Is that what they call it these
Winterfell?
days?
Yes, that is what they call it these days.
Back in those days.
Yeah, these are really nice, dude. You should at least check it out. They're not that expensive either. I think that Storm of Swords is like $17 on Amazon or something.
Cool. If I'm gonna commit to reading this, I mean that's worth it.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to get. They have like a set of them, but they're like really small books, and I'm like, this is already like really hard to read. So I need the bigger book. But my point is I almost want to wait because George R.R. Martin is writing A Winds of Winter, the most recent book, and it's like 10 years late. Like that's how long. And it's interesting when we get to the final season, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But it's interesting that it's taken him that long to between books, dude. Like that's absurd.
Yeah, I've heard that this is the ongoing drama. And
yeah,
I mean, in your position, should you wait? Because who knows how long you're gonna wait.
Well, I mean, I would. It's been 10 years, so I hopefully not too much longer.
What if it's just another 10 years?
That's the other issue.
He's
like waiting for detox,
and he's
Dr.
like
Dre.
morbidly obese. So like
he's like in his 70s, I believe. Definitely not a healthy looking dude. And this is not even the last book. There's another book after this, I believe, that he obviously has not started writing because he hasn't written this one yet. So, but yeah, I do want to just see. I hope that he cranks these out before he dies because I do want to see his ending, how he pieces it all together. From watching videos and stuff, there seems to be a lot of characters. I could talk about one like Catelyn Stark comes back in the books. That doesn't happen on the show. She comes back as a zombie. Yeah,
she's right.
Like Lady Stoneheart or something. That's out. So I just want to see that stuff that never made it into the show and see if it makes the story richer.
I have to see if the old library has that illustrated book.
I believe they had a Game of Thrones, which is the first one, but I could be wrong.
Dude, quick library story. They tried to tell me that I never returned Triangle Strategy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I get a text from the library. It's like, hey, call us, basically.
Hey, call us.
I didn't. But then a couple days later, last night, we went, got the kids some books. And I was looking at Switch games and Triangle Strategies on the shelf. And I text you. I was like, hey, I'm actually thinking about picking this up for the third time. I didn't. But then I go to the counter. I'm like, hey, I got this weird text from you guys. Like, what do you need? Like, what do you need to talk about? And they're like, oh, you have like an a past due fee or whatever. And I was like, oh, for what? And they're like, some game called like Strategy or something. And I'm like,
weird name.
Yeah.
Weird name. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I talk to anyone at the library about that game, they call it Strategy, which is makes me smile.
Because Triangle makes no sense.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I definitely returned that because it's like right there on the shelf.
Right. Yeah. Can I go
like,
get it?
Oh, really? I'm like, yeah. And I handed it to them. They're like, whoops. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Because, they don't mess around. 50 cents a day for Switch games.
Oh, yeah. All the games are 50 cents a day.
That could rack up,
for sure.
So check that in. But anyway,
yeah, you should check. You should check out the illustrated stuff. I know they have all the books, the regular Game of Thrones books, and they also, if you go to the graphic novel section, there's the first season in graphic novel, which is really cool. I got the first edition, really cool.
So are the graphic novels based off the show?
I think it's based off of the book. I only got the first one, so it's the first season of the show and the book seem fairly similar, so I don't know where it kind of deviates.
Might have to check that out too.
It's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Anyways, didn't want to derail the conversation too much.
No,
there.
You're good.
No, I think while we're kind of on that thread, we can talk about our favorite new duo, Bronn and Jaime, right?
Yeah.
See, I think you really dropped the ball here on an excellent segue we could have had.
Why?
Because we're talking about libraries and books. We could have talked about old Samwell and his obsession with libraries and him leaving to go train to be a maester. But we'll go with Jaime Bronn.
We're trying to cover the Lannisters here and the thread there, because we already did kind of touch on Jaime on his mission to go get Marcella back, but we get to see Dorne, and Bronn is along for the ride. He had to get his arm kind of twisted by Jaime to come along, because he's like, I got to cancel our castle, and I'm supposed to get married, and he's trying to turn coat and be legitimate. And Jaime's like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I also think it's funny that during that sequence where he shows up and Bronn's walking with his betrothed or whatever, that she's like, yeah, we're not gonna get the castle. I'm the younger sister. So he's not even getting the castle. And I also like that she's like, sometimes she pulls my hair when mother's not watching. I'm like, dude, what? There's such weird people in this world, man. And this is one of them. Poor Bronn.
Yeah, but you can kind of see the wheels turning in his head though. It's like, what if she's not around?
Right, yeah.
Then the castle goes to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Trying to be a fancy lord in a fancy castle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Bronn's kind of like passage from like, Tyrion, our time here is done. I can't fight for you anymore because I already did that once.
Yeah.
But here, he's kind of picking up the sword with Jaime, and since he is like his trainer for the left hand.
Yeah.
So Off they go to Dorne, which I thought was cool how they kind of like got on the beach, right? They're kind of stealth sneaking in. They have that fight with the soldiers.
Oh yeah, so
I love that.
Love it.
Catches the sword in his hand. That was awesome.
I just I love Dorne, man. At this point in the show, I would 100% side with Dorne because I love Oberyn. I love that the country looks awesome. They all look awesome. Their weapons all look awesome. Like everything about it is cool. But I love this fight scene. I love the whole sequence. Them eating the snake like by the fire and stuff. It's just this whole scene is cool.
It's just always fun.
Yeah, it is. And I hear a lot of people say that they hate this part of the show and that it doesn't make sense that they would send them by themselves to Dorne to do this. I'm like,
they explain that.
Yeah, they explain it.
If you're sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. So
did you not watch the show?
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. It's really annoying when people say that because they're not trying to start a war with Dorne. There's like a purpose of sending them. Now, does it maybe not make any sense that they sent a one-handed man who can't fight and one dude that can? Maybe.
The most famous one-handed man.
The most famous, yeah. So maybe that makes sense. But he also has a purpose of being there too. You know, he's trying to please Cersei. He's trying to get back in her good graces after releasing Tyrion, who murdered their father. So I think it totally makes sense. But yeah, I just love Dorne, dude. Like, especially the sand snakes and the guard with the big lance. Like, that dude's so cool, dude. And when he like, we'll get further. Yeah, it's just
those are rad.
The whole aesthetics of Dorne, I think, is some of the best in the show. Really,
I forget Oberyn's brother's name, but when he's like, hopefully you haven't forgotten how to use that, and he's like, oh, I remember.
Yeah, I love it.
So polished though, like just being fancy down there.
I so badly like we have a bunch of foam swords that we fight with, me and the boys. I so badly want a lance. Like I feel like it'd be so fun to wallop on the boys with a foam lance, but they're really expensive. Like I can't find a reasonably priced one.
That's awesome. Are you guys gonna venture into LARPing?
I mean, no, probably not. But that I do have like a slight interest in it.
Just send it, dude. Just go all in,
just
man.
Do it. Yeah. I mean,
you got half the gear.
Right.
This is going to sound weird, but we almost kind of do that in a way, just at the house. Like we have characters and stuff that we play. So, so yeah, we kind of do it. I just don't know if I could do it like in public.
Like with other people.
And then go to my firefighter job afterwards.
I mean, LARPing's just what everyone did in their house as kids, but you do it in the park as adults. So
it's true. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we've seen Hawkeye. Like the one dude was a firefighter, and they were all just normal people.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot they were firefighters. That's hilarious. Yeah.
See, maybe you should ask around the department. Maybe they already
maybe it's a thing.
Yeah. This episode brought to you by the Northeast Ohio LARP Club. I liked the daughter's little like daughter assassins trying to take out Marcella, and we get the explanation of how the necklace ended up being sent to Cersei, which was cool. They have that like we learn more about the poison, right? I'm assuming that's the poison that got the mountain. Yeah.
Yep. Well, no, I don't think that. So I think it's season 4 of the lore. Because it's Oberyn that talks about it. There's a colossal amount of poisons in this world. The one that they use on Marcella, I don't think is the same one that Oberyn used on the mountain, because it's like a single drop of this poison will kill you. And it was like burning his skin or whatever. So there's different poisons. Yeah. I'm sure it's explained somewhere, either lore or in the show, and I just missed it. But the sand snake wise, these are the ones that I was saying feel very video gamey. Like they all have their different weapons, their different fighting styles. It's just super cool. The one uses a whip, different personalities. I love watching people fight with whips. I think it's just really, really cool.
Indiana Jones.
And I love that, when Bronn gets grabbed by it, he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. like anything else to go work. I love that whole fight sequence.
And I love the part. Doesn't he at one point step on the whip?
Yeah,
That was really cool.
And I like that, like when they all get captured, he's like, "You fight pretty good for a little girl."
Yeah.
She gets mad. She's like trying to attack him.
And then she poisons him.
Yeah.
Great.
I love the jail sequence.
Oh,
that
so
was
good.
also good.
So good. Because you get the payoff on the song that Bronn was singing, where he was like, that it's really all about the ending. And he's like, we're trying to be quiet, so shut up. But so you get that payoff as he sings it at the end. Decent singer too, for probably not being a
good singer, man.
Yeah, and I love their interactions in the cell and him finding out that he's poisoned and all that. I think it's really, really, really cool. I just love Dorne. Like I wish we got more of this. This is like Bravos for me, where the city and everything around it is just really cool. You know,
well, like Bronn and I don't remember that character's name, but the character that poisons him and then gives him the antidote. They develop an almost Batman Catwoman relationship where obviously they're enemies, but they also have like this spicy like
tension between them.
The docs like seals that up where it's like, oh yeah, if like either of them were in each other's like neighborhood,
right,
it would get weird real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I love the Sand Snakes. I think it's a super cool concept. Ilaria, I think, is that her name? Ilaria Sand, Oberyn's girlfriend, paramour. I think that she's annoying. Is that what you said?
Yeah, she's annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. She kind of gives me that vibe as well. Just because, like, the king for Dorne, and I can't remember his name, but he does have a good point. Like, Oberyn died in a trial by combat. He wasn't murdered. Like, he agreed to do this.
Like, she's annoying because it's an illegitimate like revenge thing she has out for like at least Oberyn, right? Obviously they hate Lannisters, but like Oberyn was the nail in the coffin for her. But also at the same time, like the king has like every reason to kill her and like just get rid of her. Like, you're just annoying. You're just causing problems. But he is kind of like being Tommen and just like being a pacifist about this. Like, clearly you need to like get rid of her. But like she isn't just gonna stop. Like, she's psycho.
Yeah.
And then
it's like he can't put his foot down, right?
Yeah. Hey,
sorry, it took me a minute to think of that line.
Yeah.
But then she's standing there like while they're trying to like get Marcella, and she's just standing in that like room out of the gardens, and like they just rush in, and she's just like looking around like, oh my god, like what's happening? It's like you don't do anything. Like, you just show up places and you just talk, and she's just annoying to me.
I think honestly the common way to take this was to take her completely out of it and just make the daughters who maybe didn't know what happened to Oberyn.
Right.
She was there and watched it. She knew that it was a trial by combat.
She's just spewing
she knew there were rules.
Nonsense.
Yeah. So it would have been cooler to just have the daughters and take her out of it, because she doesn't need to be there. She doesn't need to be there.
While it's annoying, and I do agree with you guys, like her character is not that entertaining or well thought out to me. I think her reaction though is kind of valid and realistic. Like, even though clearly Oberyn, he wasn't forced to do this, as a grieving lover, right? She blames the Lannisters because he fought for the Lannisters in King's Landing, right? So her grief-stricken mind is just like, I gotta place the blame on someone, and I can't do it to Oberyn because I loved him. So like, well, I'm gonna blame the Lannisters because he was fighting for the Lannisters. Does it make an interesting storyline?
Kill Marcella, like,
right?
Weird. Like,
I'm not defending the poor execution in the show, but I think maybe that's what they were going with. That's what I'm going to tell myself. That's what they were going with. So it makes it a little less annoying.
I mean, kind of once again, like, it's kind of like the Marjorie thing. Like, she's kind of playing out of her league. Like, she is antagonizing like the one person that you probably shouldn't be antagonizing, and she sends the necklace of the daughter of the queen in like a snake's mouth. Like,
I
wonder who could have done this.
Right.
Cersei's not going to be like, just like, what should I do? Oh, okay.
I think it just boils down to George R.R. Martin thinks women are dumb, and he hates women.
Seems that way.
thinks they're stupid and worthless.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Except the
getting out
one
of the
that
show
like
so
is the
far.
masseteer puppeteer of them all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I do want to talk about the king a little bit, because it's odd for me to even say this, because I was just talking about how much I can't stand Tommen and how passive he is at everything. But for whatever reason, I enjoy it with this guy. Like, he's like the old griddled dude that's seen war before. He doesn't want war for his people. Dorne's just got like a cool, like peaceful, like hippie town vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care if you're banging your sister. They don't care. They don't want to go to war. But if they do go to war, they're all badasses and they're all going to whoop you. You know what I mean? That's a really cool touch to it. It seems like a peaceful place, but they're all really cool, really good fighters. Even Oberyn was awesome, even though he got his head crushed. But
the thing is like they never got conquered by the Targaryens. They kind of just bent the knee, right? Yeah. And they're just like, hey, let's just call it like agree to like just come to terms here and bend the knee and then join you. So they always touted around like, we never like got conquered by the Targaryens. We're all pompous down here in the South. We just kind of like live that beach life. But I do want to know a little bit more on that, because it is said multiple times that they kind of held off the dragons in some way. I don't know if that's just by bending the knee to them or if they actually held them off in some manner. I'm sure there's context to that somewhere in the lore videos or online or something. So I do want to read about that a little bit. But yeah, the king, I like that he's in a wheelchair. I think that's a cool touch. His guard is awesome. I love that dude, especially when he, Jaime looks like he's maybe not ready to give up the fight. And he like puts the spear right up to his head. And he's like, when you were whole, it would have been a good fight. Yeah. I'm like, dude, badass. It is. And his lance is just so fancy and crazy looking. Everyone wants to fight OG Jaime.
Yeah.
Like, Jaime's such a goat. Like everyone just knows it. And
that's what I want, is a Jaime Lannister prequel series, so I can actually see this dude who's supposed to be really good at fighting.
And that would be a cool story too, to get to see the lead up to the
I would love to see them do Robert's Rebellion eventually, even if it's in an animated form. I would love to see that stuff pan out in an actual series, not just in the stories we get throughout this series.
Call it Young Jaime.
Young Jaime.
Young Jaime, bro. I think what makes the passiveness of this king so palatable is the fact that he is a seasoned like veteran, right? So he like, there's a reason behind him having no sack, right? He's just like, nah, I've been there. Like, I don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
I'm okay with this. Whereas like Tommen, not to his fault, right? Because he's young and hasn't had the experience. It's just like you're watching pretty much a 12-year-old
was just like
be a king of a nation, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why we can get behind the Dorne king. And
I definitely think that's probably it. When I first watched this season, I did have hope coming off the fourth season that it's just a stupid hope, but I was hoping that this king was going to be the twin brother to Oberyn, and then it would just be the same actor. That would have been so cool. But obviously it did pan out.
And I think another thing that might help us deal with that is like knowing that if they decided to stop being passive, like they're rowdy dudes, like respectable, amazing fighters, like people you don't really want to mess with. They're just kind of like, just don't just let us do our thing over here. I agree with Joe. I like Tom too, but he's a sweet boy. Anyways, continue.
Well, I think that's about all. We already kind of mentioned how Marcella dies. Rip. It was cool.
A little touching scene there.
Yeah, I do like the way the scene pans out. I think it is very touching. I think Jamie's shock on his face when she says that she knows, I think it's really good. And unfortunately, and we'll talk about it in the Daenerys story, like any joy in this or any interesting thing is followed almost immediately with brutal violence. So
And even though I don't like her character much at all, it is a little bit redeeming how like she does set it up to be like disarm Jamie from suspicion, because she like goes to him and has like a peaceful, normal conversation with him, and she just kind of leaves. And Jamie's like, "Huh, yeah, thanks for telling me like incest is okay around here. You're making me feel better."
Right.
But she's just kind of disarming the situation so she can sneak a kiss there with the poison on her lips. I like how her nose starts to bleed. She has the cure. So I thought that was all well done.
For a second there, I was like, "Oh, dude, she did this. She knows it's going to get back to the king and he's going to kill her. So she just like sacrificed herself to exact the revenge that
She's
she
not that cool.
unnecessarily, craved."
Yeah.
But yeah, then she's like, "No, I'm going to drink this, bro."
Yeah. Yep.
And then they have their little walk off the dock. Like,
yeah, just casual as can be. I love it. I am interested because doesn't the prince go with them?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I seem to remember something happening to him that isn't lining up with this story very well. So I have to see what happens in between that I'm missing. But why would you not, as Jamie, like run up and be like, "Turn this boat around"? Like we're still in the freaking dock. Like let's go kill these people. But
he's just like,
what's Bronn is gonna like lay waste to? Well, I guess they could hold the prince captive.
Do something.
I loved how there's finally a marriage relationship here that seems to be working out too. Like, where the people actually like each other. They're not related.
Yep.
They're nice to each other. They love each other. Like, I was like, "Oh, this is so awesome!"
Yeah,
and then it's just like, no.
I do like the king's comments where he's like, Lannister and a Martell in love. They don't know how dangerous that really is. I'm like, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that caps Dorne pretty well. I mean, I think we covered pretty much everything, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we can either go north to the Wall, or we can go east to Essos. Maybe we go east to Essos since we're kind of
let's do that
region. So lots of what's the city called they're in? Marine. Yeah. Lots of Marine here. Sons of the Harpy. They're the big runaway stars, giving a lot of much needed conflict, like actually opposition conflict to Daenerys.
Yeah.
So far, she's just kind of steamrolling everybody.
Right.
But here's this problem that is not solvable by like her normal means, where it's just like, I'm the queen. This is what I say. But like here they are, like they're in the city, they're embedded, they're doing guerrilla warfare.
I love that. Like they're like ninjas. They're like ninjas.
Kind of, where they're just kind of like, 5 of us will die as long as one of us gets the knife into like the rib cage, like, or back.
Yeah,
we're good.
I love the like how the Unsullied appear to use the brothels.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I think it's really super sad. It's super sad. It's super interesting. That was the scene I was talking about, which is followed by brutal violence almost immediately after.
Yes.
Because they're eunuchs, right? So they have nothing they can do at brothels essentially. But they go there to pay to just like cuddle, which is like
have somebody like some like actual human interaction.
Yeah, I mean they're Snatch's children, and like I mean they had none of that in their life.
They're looking for a normal something normal.
Yeah.
I mean they have like mommy issues.
They do
issues. Because they never had any.
Right.
And our boy, he gets in that warm embrace. He's like closes his eyes, look like he's getting some rest and maybe some peace of mind.
Now
almost immediately followed by
can't even close can't even close both eyes
before
brutal murder.
What does bother me from like a military perspective about this whole Unsullied in this patrolling the streets of Marine, I'm pretty sure Grey Worm described how, or even like the masters there, that the Unsullied get trained in like every single weapon form, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, but they're like really good at the spear. They should not be whipping spears around like these tight alleys and stuff. Like they should have short swords and different weapons. So I don't get why they won't just get rid of the spears. Because they are very ineffective
totally
against dagger wielding ninjas coming out of like doorways.
Yeah, true. It's very true. Yeah, it's very, very true. But do we ever? I don't know that we've ever seen him fight with anything but that, right?
I know.
Like you're right. It is sad.
Grey Worm in extended fight scenes loses his spear eventually because he like throws it at someone, and then he like picks up a sword and he's like doing that, and they have daggers and stuff. But I just don't know why like 100% of them 100% of the time just rock the spear and
rock
shield,
the spear
no matter what.
It is like
it looks cool.
It looks cool, but it's also a very effective combination of shielding yourself and just poking, especially
giant stick.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Even in Elden Ring, one of the hardest games, like that's a very effective combo, is just poking from behind your shield. So I get why they stick with it. I think it probably works for him good, even though it's probably not best for Marine. It's probably not best for these tight arrow, narrow ways in
Pick
Marine.
Up a sword. Or at least carry a sword. And like throw the spear, then just get the sword out.
Right.
Wow, that would be so rad.
Yeah.
I mean, Grey Worm, he runs that spear through quite a few of those harpies in that alley there.
That was a cool fight scene.
Very good fight scene.
Barristan still has it, and he's
Love
like,
it.
I like how he just like cop on like running the beat, just like unsheaths his sword, and he's just like going, where the trouble is. That's a cool bit right there.
Yeah, I found it like super. The fight scene obviously is really cool, but I found it super sad because of the interaction that Danny and him have beforehand, where he's talking about Rhaegar singing to the people, and she tells him to go sing a song for me.
Nice heartwarming
moment followed by brutal violence.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you're not
love
allowed
that
to be
story.
happy in this show.
That's true. Yeah.
I love that story of her father, because she never like knew him, but like he tells this story, and she's like, "Well, what did you guys do with the money?" And he's like, "Well, one time we donated to this thing. One time we gave to an orphanage. This other time we got ridiculously drunk."
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know, that was such a good story.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. I enjoy hearing any stories about Rhaegar. I think his story background is really interesting. We'll get more of that later, but so yeah, I enjoy that. And then seeing Barristan finally fight, because I don't think we've seen him fight yet. This might be the only scene that we see him fight, and he's a badass, and I love that. I love that he's like the old, griddled dude that still can fight.
I love that because they always talk about like especially in this season where they talk about the Westerosi Knight, right? Because we get some of the fighting pit stuff, and that's like a distinct style. And I like how both him and Jorah have that distinct style in this very foreign land. Like when they fight people, it's just very clear that they have this like knight style fight where like they are just statues kind of, where they move slow, they're armored, but like they will raise their sword and parry you, and like you just bounce right off of them, and they just kind of use like some brute force to them. Like they are just these very immovable objects in a land where everyone's like really fast and like thrifty on their feet.
Yeah. It's like definitely cool to see the different fighting styles, whether it be Dorne's fighting style with Oberyn and the Sand Snakes, and then the Knight style, which I like. Dude, that armor had to be so brutal to fight in. Like that had to be god awful to be in that stuff all day long in the hot summer day in a battle carrying. I mean, how much do you think that stuff weighs? It's got to be a ton. Because I know the samurai armor is very heavy, and it's not made out of metal entirely. So it's got to be like, what, 60, 70 pounds maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe even
toddler.
More.
Definitely.
Yeah. So like it's
Jordan says Jorah's distinct style is called sexy as I cannot say that on this show. Best character on the show. I agree, man. I love Jorah.
Yeah.
And I loved his fight in the like fight pit trials. Man, he just like wrecks that little squad in front of Danny for the first time, and then the second fight was also very, very cool. Jorah, I love Jorah. Rip his arm though.
Yeah, got a lot of grayscale exposition in this season, whether it was Stannis' daughter, lots of background there, but then also Jorah actually getting grayscale. We kind of that's really cool. In general, obviously Tyrion's
classic zombie trope.
Classic,
fights
right?
off the horde. Oh no, I'm fine. I didn't get bit, and then turns around by himself. Oh, I've got to dramatically look at my bite. Everyone can know I got bit.
Hide it, hide it. But that was cool how they're kind of going through Valyria, right? The doom, the smokiness, the smoky ocean, whatever they call it, like a bunch of different things, and it's just so eerie, right? And then they see Drogon like flying overhead, and Tyrion's just so like, cool. Holy crap! Like, this is bizarre. And then you see the snowman on the bridge, and then he just drops into the water. That was just such a cool sequence, and I just like how distinctive that whole aesthetic looks there. And that was obviously one of the first times we get to see Drogon again, and I love him this season. Like, he just looks so good.
He looks really good this season. Yeah,
Wyvern, badass Wyvern, just flying around.
That is and we talked about that a little bit. That I find so funny because they're not actually dragons, so which is so funny. And I'm curious. I have to look maybe through the book. I'm sure there's pictures of them. Maybe not in the first book. I'm curious if they're actually dragons in the books. But I do like. I want to know more about Valyria. And I'm curious, I don't know when the Doom was. I'll have to look it up. I'm curious if we're going to see Valyria in House of the Dragon.
No, because Valyria was before the Targaryens.
Okay. Because I know that the Valyrians are in House of the Dragon. They're the white-haired people. So I don't now. Granted, I think they went to Dragonstone after the Doom, so it could be there. But I just want to know more about it because the pictures that you can find online, the city looks really freaking cool.
Tyrion he's like, I wonder how many centuries before we can build cities like this again.
Yeah. And aesthetic wise, dude, just super eerie. There's a lot of horror stuff in this season. I think this is one of them. And I also really enjoy that you can see the stone men coming. If you know that they're coming, you see them coming a mile away. They look like gargoyles sitting up on the ledge there. You can see them like through the whole scene practically. So I think that's a cool touch. I didn't hate it because of the zombie trope thing. I thought it was like super shocking in my opinion the first time I watched it. That
he likes zombie tropes.
That he got touched by one of these things.
Oh, hopefully not in his naughty area.
Yeah, right.
Wow, Mike. Wow.
Well, he's trying to get back with the Unsullied anyway, so
that's true. That's true. No, it was cool seeing Tyrion try to avoid them like while being tied up and then jumping into the water. Very cool. And then that's kind of like a bonding moment for Jorah and Tyrion. And I love how also Jorah is annoyed by Tyrion, much like everyone else.
Does he ever stop talking, or does he always talk this much? And he's just like,
Yeah. I love when he's tied up though, and he's just like, just trying to make as much noise as possible. So we should back up a little bit because I do want to touch on Tyrion's beginning of the storyline here because we see him come out of the box that he was in season 4 finally, and he's with Varys.
You have wine?
Yeah. You could tell that he's like literally a debilitating alcoholic as he's very sick from not drinking, and he's like puking and stuff.
Therefore, I need to drink.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's a nice touch that they're at. I think his name's Illyrio. That's the dude in season 1 that was kind of conspiring with the Targaryens to marry off Daenerys to Khal Drogo, the like merchant dude that we saw.
Same house.
So I thought that was a really cool touch. They went back there. Unfortunately, we don't see Illyrio. I don't know why. Maybe he was busy on another series or something. But so I also really like the brothel scene too, where Tyrion is obviously he's down in his dumps. Like his family's abandoned him. He murdered his father. He murdered his love of his life. Like he's just not having a good run of it, right? But the brothel scene I really like because there's a prostitute in the brothel that looks like Dany and is acting like Dany and is dressed exactly like Dany, and people are calling her the mother of dragons and stuff. I think that's a great touch.
Ash just hanging out.
And then I like Tyrion and the prostitute's interaction where they have their interaction and she finally agrees and they go off and he's like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. And it's totally not Tyrion from what we've seen so far. Like
he's like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah. Like his dad called him like a little lust-filled beast or whatever he calls him in season 3. So it's cool to see that his character's starting to mature a little bit. Obviously, he's been through some really traumatic shit in the past season of this show. But yeah, I did want to back up there because that is where Jorah gets a hold of Tyrion, obviously.
Exactly.
And I love that because Tyrion has like an affinity for peeing off of very tall places. He did it at the Wall in season 1. He's doing it here. But I like that Jorah's like, I'm taking you to the queen. And his face is like, he thinks Cersei is who he's talking about. So when we get to later on and he finds out he's taking him to Daenerys where he was heading anyway, he's like, what? Yeah, what a waste of a good kidnapping. I was going that way anyway.
Yeah.
I like how he broke down who Jorah was. He's like bear sigil on the armor. The epaulets have dragons on them. He's like Westerosi, blah blah blah. He's like, you're Jorah Mormont.
Yeah, that's definitely cool.
He just breaks it all down, gets to the bottom of things.
Yeah. Joe says, poor Tyrion having to murder everyone. I know, man. Rough life.
People just need murdered.
Gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah.
Speaking of tropes, I don't know if it's a trope necessarily, but it's something. I don't know if it belongs to any like one genre, quite like the zombie one does, but they're in the arena, right? And they all kind of get into the middle and they're completely surrounded, right? That's like episode 2 Star Wars. It's like a ton of things. Classic arena. You're surrounded, right? And then the gunship comes flying in and just lays waste. So I was just like, wow, this is right from episode 2.
It really is. Yeah, you bring it up. That's hilarious. I really liked that whole arena scene. I think it's really well done. The whole like gladiator feel that it has to it, as well as Jorah's interaction at the end there, where he grabs the spear and he like throws it at Dany, and they seemingly think that he's throwing it at Dany, as if he hasn't been trying to get back to her the entire season. Now he's just gonna randomly murder her. Like,
I mean, I forgot why he did. Like, it was started. I was like, oh my god, he throws a spear. Oh yeah, that's right. Like, I forgot. Like. It's just like you're so focused on like him trying to like somehow get her attention back, and then he's just like, you're like,
right,
and then you're like, oh yeah, it gets exciting right here.
And you see like how number wise how many harpies there are. Like, it's a colossal amount in this little arena. We've only seen like small groups of them leading up to this, and they've finally. I mean, it's a brilliant plan to attack her at this area because she's kind of trapped in there. So I get why it's like all hands on deck, but it was shocking to see how many of them there were, because you kind of get the impression that it's like a small-ish rebellion throughout the season.
It also, I noted like when they're just kind of stabbing everybody when they first start popping out of the woodwork there, they're stabbing like highborn
everyone.
Everyone. Like they're just like, basically, if you're not a harpy, like you might get stabbed.
You're done.
Because I think it, like you said, it is like a all hands on deck. Basically, it's like either you're on our, like, we're doing this, or you're a part of the problem.
Right. Yeah.
They're against us for sure. So like 2 questions here. Most relevant. The lad that Dany marries.
Yep.
Is he involved with this harpy nonsense? Because like he convinces her to do the fighting pit, and then we have this grand attack at the fighting pit. So it's like,
looks bad.
Maybe
looks real bad.
Is he conspiring with these people? Okay, so he's not. Second, what is Jorah hoping to accomplish by bringing Tyrion to Dany?
His hope is that it is a gift from the family that took the throne from her family. Unfortunately, he picked
it's a bad plan.
Yeah, it's a very bad plan, because he picked, and
he's grasping at straws.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't really a plan. He just happened to come across him in that brothel.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he picked the Lannister that, like he says, has an affinity for killing Lannisters. So he's killed
Yeah.
more Lannisters than anybody.
So he
and can
just
talk
like
really
kind
well.
of brings him as like a here, do with this Lannister as you please.
Yes, and
Please
this-
forgive me.
An
Yes,
enemy,
exactly.
basically. I bring you
Okay.
tribute. Like, here's an enemy of yours. Like,
Tribute.
but the problem is like you said, he is a Lannister that happens to be really good at killing Lannisters, and he also is very good at talking his way around it and in and out of
Right.
things. So like, I think that's what he realizes on that like boat ride. He's like, crap, like you are so useless. You talk all the time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basically, whatever. I'm bringing you to the queen. Like
Yeah.
I have to just get to her. Like this is my in. Whether you are what you are, I hope you are or not. Right.
Right.
Whatever you are, Tyrion. Like I just need a reason to like, because he's constantly like, can I just speak to you in private, please?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's his thing. He's like, can we
Yeah.
talk alone? Because I really want to be your friend again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a poor plan, but you can't even really call it a plan because it was like a spur of the moment thing. He
He's
happened to be in the
wasted.
same brothel. He's probably drunk. He's like, oh, there's a Lannister. Like
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know
That'll
if he
get me.
was like hoping that Tyrion could be like, yeah, he like stopped telling us stuff about you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he
I don't.
stopped spying on you for us. But yeah, now that you guys are saying, I think he's just like, here, kill this dude. Please
Yeah.
forgive me.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's the other way around. I do like that interaction when he first meets Dany and he pretty much like tells her to get rid of Jorah. Like if you ever want to rule over the Narrow Sea, he can't be by your side when you do so. So it's sad because I do like Jorah. That moment is sad where he went through all this work and he's still getting exiled anyway. And I do like all the slaver stuff too, like especially the guys that are like dwarf private parts are worth a lot or have magical powers or whatever.
Yeah.
Go for
like how are they gonna know it's legit,
dong
right?
merchant.
They need
He's
to
like-
see if it comes from the dwarf.
Yeah,
the dwarf lives till we find a dong merchant.
yeah. I love that. I just love that stuff.
And I also love he's like, because it's gonna look like a dwarf dog.
Yeah,
He's
yeah. It'll
he's
be
like-
dwarf size. Like, think again.
Yeah. Try me, bro.
Yeah, that's so great, man. Yeah, so anyway, this all culminates in Drogon finally returning back to Daenerys, right? And we get our
Drama.
first kind of dragon fight scene here as he takes off, which is really cool. I love it because it's like a dragon fight scene on a smaller scale where he's just like setting one person on fire at a time. But he is getting kind of
He's
worked
hitting
over.
groups. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hitting. He might be hitting groups. But
He
he
hasn't fully
needs to work
leveled
on
up
his.
his AOE skills yet.
yeah,
He needs to work on his method and his strategy there because he should have done like a ring just around them, just like torching
keep
it.
him in that. Yeah,
He
for
should have
sure.
just torched everyone in a ring around them, then landed.
Yeah, you could tell that he's like. It's funny because I always say that when she locks those dragons in the thing, they're like in their terrible twos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I gotta take care of this. But you can tell that he's
Finger grip.
not well trained in fighting because he's a freaking dragon. He's not flying around and shooting fire. He's on the ground getting pelted with spears while shooting fire, which is like a total rookie
He's
move
just eating
for a
goats and
dragon.
stuff.
you know?
Like he's not doing anything
Yeah,
crazy.
like nothing's fighting back up into this point. But I do like seeing like Daenerys's heartbreak watching him get hit by all these spears. And then obviously the part where she climbs on his back and flies out of the arena, I think is totally badass. CGI work, not the best, not the best that we've seen, and not the best that we're gonna see, but
about 10 years, it's gonna look real
rough.
weird.
Yeah, real weird. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely I think that caps that episode perfectly because it's like, okay, finally she's on the dragon.
Man, I still feel real bad for our boy Jorah though, because she's just like, oh, thanks for Tyrion. You're gonna be kind of useful. You can advise me, I guess.
Right.
Bye Jorah again. Get out of here again. Which sucks.
Yeah, I am kind of thrown off that like even in the like big arena battle, like she's still like, I want to kill him, or I don't agree with her angst or dislike for Jorah to this degree. Like, I get it, like from a binary perspective, like, yeah, that was kind of sleazy of him, but clearly it's helping. Like that was like 3 seasons ago. Like clearly, like he's at a point where he's helping.
But
just keep him at
it's difficult. It's difficult though because
but he's risking his life to come back to you. Like,
but he could be doing that because he's in bed with the Lannisters and he needs to give them information or he's going to die or something. Like it's a slippery slope because if he did this stuff once, there's probably a good chance that he could do it again. You know what I mean? And with Barristan by her side, unfortunately, that ends the season. But there's really no reason to take that risk. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take it.
She's like, my party is full of I got my one Westerosi knight. Sorry,
right? Sorry, I don't
spot taken.
I need an archer.
I have a rogue. I need got the soldier. Got the Westerosi knight. No room for 2 Westerosi knights. Sorry, especially old ones.
Yeah. I mean, I get her train of thought completely. Like it's a tough boat to be in. Like, he saved her life multiple times, but a lot of those times, those people were there to kill her because of the stuff that he did and said. So
that's kind of the theme of like her too. Is like she's always battling with these like very what are supposed to be binary concepts like black and white. She's like trying to figure out like, they're not though. What do I do? Like that's really her whole bit. Like how do I solve these problems? No matter what I do, something's going to be wrong. And it's like, well, welcome to being a queen.
Yeah,
being in charge.
Just human in general. There are hardly things that are straight up black and white.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and then her storyline kind of ends with her hanging out on a mountain with her wounded Drake there.
She's trying to take a nap.
She wanders down off the peak and then is surrounded by a giant army of what are they called?
Dothraki.
That's right. And that's not good. She does slip like a ring or something off her hands. What are those? Is there any significant other than just like
classic trope right there?
Just ditching the expensive jewelry? Or?
No, leaving a trail. Leaving a trail for somebody to find. It's I think it's probably a just family
like
ring.
Pippin and Lord of the Rings, how they're dropping stuff when they got taken by the Uruk-hai.
Right on.
Yeah. So leaving a trail, so they are obviously going to go find her at some point and try to, and they can kind of pick up the trail.
Wow, spoiler alert, Chad. Jeez, dude.
Well, I mean, really, seriously.
What do you think? They're just going to be like, oh, well, darn, well, guess we'll go back to Westeros.
I mean, why not? Everyone else disappears or dies, so.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, they do set that up because, man, they really, maybe that's why Tyrion did not get to go with them, because then there would have been a dwarf.
They even say it. It's this season they say it,
and the knight, just like Lord of the Rings, going after
right, yeah.
Yes, that's amazing.
That's hilarious.
We can't 100% copy this, so
we can't just straight copy. Or he says we're already gonna do the whole drop some jewelry to like find
right,
her.
That's amazing.
Cue the Lord of the Rings running through Rohan music, and like, what am I watching again? Wrong show.
Dany's in a precarious situation, that's for sure.
For sure.
Because the Dothraki, they don't respect anyone who's not in power in their realm.
Right.
So she definitely like does not meet that. Yeah.
Because she still claims to be Khaleesi there.
Not exactly in good standing, so that's probably not going to end well.
Issue I have with that like shot, because like she's like, they obviously give you the pan and then like she's just standing there and they pop over the first hill, but when they do the pan again, they're like coming from way far off in the distance. It's like you would have seen them first in the distance, then up close, but instead it's like in reverse.
Right. Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it was just weird because you can hear Dothraki hordes for like miles
away,
and they just
Right.
creep over this hill on her.
There's
like
like
thousands of horses.
10,000. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's like,
And plus, she was
Drogo's
like
just taking
on
a nap.
a mountaintop. Like, she definitely had the high ground. Is she not
Right.
looking at anything while she was up there?
I mean, but what is she gonna do? Like, Drogon's like severely injured. That's why they're on that mountaintop.
Not
so, like,
leave the mountaintop. That
she gonna run?
I'm gonna leave the mountain, go down into the gully.
Yeah,
definitely safer down there. Watch out for the Dothraki hordes.
Yeah.
Beware, dog.
So what? We're just left with the north, huh?
Yeah, we got some north stuff to take care of.
Really? That's it? We're down that far?
Yeah, we still got to talk about Sansa.
Yeah. Okay. Before
Boltons, all that stuff.
Yeah, because basically what we're left with is like the Boltons, Sansa, and Littlefinger's just kind of lurking about per usual. Kind of being.
Hate that guy.
I like that he's getting called out though. Like, Roose Bolton is just like, he's like, you can understand why I read your letter, and I like to see the reply that you sent Cersei.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
much appreciated
for sure. Although I really hate the Boltons, it's a very good
he's a good replacement for Tywin.
It's a good replacement for Tywin, but it's also good to see because the Starks and the Northerners are good guys really through the whole series. So it's nice to see this little sect of them that's not so good, and they are placed perfectly up in the north because it's already got like a horror vibe to it. You know how I am with like wintry stuff and horror. I think it's great.
Blood
and they're
snow,
like
Chad likes.
Yeah, and the flayed man, like it's just the whole storyline at Winterfell just has a great horror vibe to it. Like seeing the flayed people in the background and stuff. It's just like, dude, what happened to Winterfell? You know what I mean? Like this was like the place to be back in the day, and now.
And Sansa sums it up with her whole where Bolton's like wife is like, strange place. She's like, no, this is my home. It's just the people that are strange. And it's like, that's an understatement. Like you said, Chad, like there's just flayed people all around.
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone's
people hanging up.
Super weird. So like Roose Bolton, like he's the only one mildly normal, but he's like also a sociopath, like kind of like a Tywin level. But then obviously there's his son, and then all his son's girlfriends, and you got Reek lurking around. Like it's just a weird place. Weird.
It is, dude.
Got real weird.
Major horror vibes with Reek lurking in the shadows everywhere, sitting in the dog kennel. But yeah, there's a lot of important stuff that happens here. Obviously, Littlefinger passing Sansa off to get married to Ramsay, and totally lies to her about it the whole way there. Saying that I don't know that he ever says. He just says there's a wedding proposal, and I think Sansa thinks that he is proposing himself to somebody.
Yeah, he never technically lies, like the little slime ball he is.
Slime ball, yep.
Yeah.
And then we see, there's like some tension between Ramsay's like girlfriend and Sansa, which I think is done really well throughout the season. Like the bathtub scene where she's like trying to talk her. I love that scene. I think it's great.
Well, she stands up to her and like kind of like chick, like calm down. And then she leaves the room and she like starts crying because obviously that's like nerve wracking because she's
right.
Like, people are psycho. Like, was I about to die?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you were.
I really like the kind of aesthetics of like her dye falling out of her hair and her hair is turning back red. And so I really like that. The wedding between them is obviously totally awkward because Reek's giving away Sansa. And
the scenes of Sansa and Theon when they first like confront each other there
in the dog kennel,
heartbreaking. Anything with Theon is just like
Reek.
No,
get it right.
No, he's a person.
Yeah,
I will.
He'll tell you differently.
He will tell you differently, and bite your arm too, to make sure he drives that fact home.
I don't care. He's a human. He deserves his dignity.
Like Cersei.
No, it's just like no. She is,
yeah, right.
No,
Where's the
she's
parallel
just terrible.
there?
She's
Yeah,
just
Mike,
terrible.
what the heck?
I do want to. I know we already talked about the Cersei thing, but you didn't feel bad for her at all during any of that stuff.
No,
Wow, interesting. Because
she's
I
a malicious psychopath.
I
But she
agree
atoned.
100%. I agree. She did atone.
High Sparrow sent her on her way. Said she had all she had to do was atone, and she was all right. And then she'll.
But she still lied. She didn't come forth with everything.
She told enough truth.
Right.
Yeah, but there wasn't no sneaky sparrows like whispering in the High Sparrow's ear. It's like she banged me. Like it's not Jamie. Like technically, that's still unknown. They're just trying to oust her for what they do know.
Yeah, no, I still don't really feel that bad
Lancel.
for her because
Chad felt bad for her.
Yeah, I did, man.
That's a hard scene to watch. Like
it is. It's hard to watch because they're like just hopelessly evil to this chick as she's atoning through the streets. So throwing crap at her.
Literal crap.
Yeah, crap. The one dude spits right in her face, which I think at least to my knowledge, it looks like that was actually filmed as a spit from that dude's mouth.
Yeah, I've always wondered how they do the spit takes, you know?
Yeah.
Like even if the spits aren't real, like what do they use to like make
green screen? Just like it hits that instead.
It hits the
green screen. No, but I mean, like, what do they put on the face, right? Because there's always like the after of like spit hanging
plastic
there. Like,
spoon.
what do they use for that? Like,
plastic spoon and like some sort of like sugar water.
And I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but have you guys seen it? Totally side tangent. We're like 2 hours into this, but have you seen Django?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the part where Leo smacks his hand down on the table? He actually cut himself pretty severely there in that scene. I don't know if he knew that, and he kept acting.
Yeah.
And in that scene, he wipes his blood on the lady's face, and I'm pretty positive it's his actual blood he's wiping on her face. And you can almost see her reaction, like, what, dude, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, holy crap, can we cut? Can we cut for a second?
I'm in the pocket, man. I'm on it. Like, I'm feeling it.
Just
there,
rub
you
your
can
blood
hear
all over me.
Yeah, there's you can watch Quentin Tarantino tell the story of watching him cut his hand, and in that scene he literally wipes his blood on her face. So I'm pretty sure that's real. So anyway, back to I don't know about the spit here. It looks like it comes right out of the dude's mouth, so they did a good job in the editing department. If it didn't,
Civ, you little turd. He says it's called acting, kids.
Yeah.
But he also said omission is still lying.
No, those are two separate words with two separate meanings.
Also valid.
Yes, but by not telling the whole truth, you're not telling the whole truth.
Telling the whole truth.
So meaning you're still kind of lying because you're not telling the entire truth.
You didn't say tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth on the word of God. Or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You just asked the question. I gave you an answer.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Is there anything else?" And she's like, "No,
there isn't."
Jamie is definitely something else, bro.
They don't need to know about Jamie. He's not here. Like Nick said, he's not here whispering.
You want to make it back,
though? Yeah, it's something else. It's a lie.
Jeez, I don't know how you can honestly.
That's such an incriminating question. Is there anything else? Oh my God, where do you want me to start? Like,
right,
your brother who you've birthed like 3 of his children.
So it's such an opinionated, like where to start. Like, okay, let's just start over. Like,
listen, you guys are definitely on the wrong side of the soapbox defending incest.
I don't think we are. No, we're not defending incense. We're not.
Incense.
Did I say incense? I meant incest.
That needs to be clipped. That needs to be our next clip. That goes out. But yeah, anyways, she's just okay. So for me, why I don't feel bad for Cersei is she's inflicted so much pain on so many people for so long in the show. Whereas Theon,
has she though?
Has she? Have you watched any of this show?
What has she done that's been bad?
That's a I can't answer that question. I think.
Yeah.
No, it's have you seen all the strings she pulls, all of the torment she puts people through, just to like defend her kids or family or
Is that not something you would do to defend
Pretty
your
sure.
family?
not
sure.
to the means she does.
If you're
does
in
that-
landing,
But does that excuse what she goes through? Like that doesn't say like one good doesn't equal.
No, I'm not saying inflicting a bunch
bad.
of punishment on someone who has done a lot of punishment to people is the right thing. I'm saying I don't feel bad for her because
You're saying you enjoyed it is basically what you're saying. It's not the right thing, but you enjoyed it.
in this sense, yes, but also I'm mainly saying I don't feel bad that she went through what she went through. Just after watching all of the pain and suffering she's inflicted on people for
indirectly.
5 seasons.
Indirectly, yes.
Very intently, though.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't care. Theon, while he has inflicted pain and suffering on people, it's much less in number, though it is still pretty brutal. The torment that he is subject to is so much more brutal than what Cersei goes through that like I just really can't help but feel extremely bad for Theon.
So is there a point at which she goes through enough torment and pain to atone for her atrocities? Like Theon? Like, you know what I mean?
Sorry, this.
Yeah, no, I laughed earlier.
Let it be known, showboys do not support incense. That's true.
We're gonna have to clip it because I'm pretty sure I didn't say incense, but
we are a candle.
Yes,
we are
no
candle only.
Incense here. But anyways, continue with your question.
Yeah, okay. So I like how we're kind of we have 2 characters here who have both done pretty horrendous things, have pretty horrendous habits, especially with like their sibling, even though Theon's a little different. But he totally would have just unknowingly. But obviously like Cersei is taking a much longer time to go through any sort of atonement for that, and she's still kind of weaseling her way around it. But then you have Theon, who's gone through grave amounts of like atonement and like torture.
Well, here, I'll put it to you like this. Cersei's atonement so far, hanging out in a dungeon for a few days, watching her her prison keep just dump water on her floor. Okay. She gets a haircut and then has to walk a mile or 2 from the church to the castle.
Yeah, Theon you made that sound awfully peaceful. She just has to
compared
walk
to
a
Theon.
couple miles.
Okay, Theon literally gets his entire body mutilated for months and months, and then is broken down completely psychologically to where he doesn't even recognize himself as an actual human being anymore, and can be controlled and manipulated by an extreme like serial killer sociopath
for doing some really heinous shit. Though he burnt farm kids alive.
Well, that's not why
them
off.
But to Nick's point, he didn't do that.
But also, that's not why he's being tortured, because obviously Bolton is just like out of his mind. He's torturing him for a whole different set of reasons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my original question is, Mike, is if the church did some sort of equal amount of like torture and atonement to Cersei, would you eventually feel bad for her?
Yeah. There's always a point where
so
I'm
you're
like,
saying
okay,
mutilate
this
her
is
body.
still a human being. Like, yeah, she just had to get naked and be publicly shamed. You should know me by now, Nick. I'm a fan of public shaming. Maybe not like public nudity and shaming.
That's why I always shame you in Discord.
I think you can teach a lot of lessons and learn a lot of lessons through public shaming.
Okay.
So, does it suck? Is it awkward? Does it feel bad for a little bit? Yeah, but maybe she'll learn from it. Whereas, like, I mean, Theon had body parts chopped off. Like,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
Like, he had skin peeled off. Like, he's gone through, like, extreme torture.
Ooh, speaking of that, the poor old lady that told Sansa she's her friend and like she will help.
Oh yeah.
The North remembers.
Like, most of them started screaming. This one waited all the way till I got to like her face or whatever.
Yeah.
Or she just like died.
Yeah, she died before. Yeah.
I was like, ugh. And then they showed her. Wasn't they showed? Yeah, that was excessive.
Major horror vibes with the flayed people, man. Super creepy.
Bolton's a psycho.
So I do want to touch on one more Cersei thing because we didn't talk about it at all, and it's the flashback scene at the beginning. I love this sequence because the casting for young Cersei is freaking phenomenal. Like, it feels like young Cersei. B, it implants her with this mindset of this younger person is going to come and take everything that she holds dear to her. And I think that's really cool, showing her move through this season. Obviously, she's thinking that's Marjorie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to touch on that because we didn't touch on one of my favorite scenes from season 4, which is the cold open for season 4. As Tywin was putting the finishing touches on his fight with the Starks as he melted down Ned Stark's sword to make 2 more swords. I thought that was awesome way to open the season. We didn't touch on it, so I did want to bring up the flashback.
Yeah, no, that was pretty great.
Speaking of her, like her habitual need to just do things that she shouldn't be messing with goes all the way back to her childhood. Like, her dad probably was like, hey, don't go there, don't do this. She's like, I'm totally gonna go there, talk to the witch and get my fortune told,
right?
No matter what it means. So yeah, she's got some issues there in terms of not knowing what not to do.
Yeah, and she's not knowing where this is going to come to fruition. These predictions that the witch made. I think it's great, and I love, like I said, I love the casting. I think that actress is phenomenal as young Cersei. She even looked like from behind when they're walking, like, dude, it looks just like Cersei. It's eerie.
Yeah.
So
we had a few comments when we were having our torture rant. Joe says Toretto would do anything for family. And he also said, but the church didn't do that punishment, so it didn't count. We're a little late on that comment, so I don't know exactly what part of the rant you were referring to. But
Shame.
One of us just needs to have a bell on their desk.
Yeah.
So
every time you talk about Cersei deserved all that, we can ring it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, poor Sansa. Especially like in later scenes where like she describes like every night she's locked in her room. She's like physically bruised. Like, that's just like really unsettling.
From like the wedding night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, everything post that. Poor Reek.
Awkward.
Like, he just, any chance he gets, like even the dinner scene where he's like, Reek, can you apologize? And he's like, oh, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Things are getting a little
I love that.
He's funny. He's like kind of funny in like a really sadistic way. Like, and his dad's just always like, you can see his gears turning. He's like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Like, where is this going? Yes. But then he has this glimmer of like, I'm so proud of you, son.
Yeah, it is. It is really that, because I think he sees the chaos that Ramsay can bring and the things he can get accomplished with that, especially with Stannis, where he's like, give me 10 good men or whatever he says, 20 good men, and we'll take care of this. I'm a little annoyed by that scene, to be honest with you, because it goes by like in a flash. Like, you just see that scene prep, and then all of a sudden Stannis's camp is like setting fire. You're like, what the, like, okay, like if you blink, you miss that. That could have been a whole episode of them stealthing through the camp and doing all this stuff, but they breeze right the hell over it. But yeah, I think Roose knows, like, he's a total psychopath, but I can really use that around me right now because I'm in the north and nobody trusts me around here, and I've got this dude do the peeling and
he's
and
like
cutting.
the useful and smart version of what Joffrey probably hoped to be, or like how he was. Both equal parts like evil and sadistic, but like Ramsay actually knows what he's doing and can actually do it,
though. He isn't just like the king's son. He's like the king's bastard. He's like, I gotta earn my stripes, so I'm gonna get good at flaying. It's like, it's just like every time dad seems to flay something, he's just like, I'm proud of you, boy.
Exactly. Yeah, I love their dynamic. I love the whole setup of this whole storyline. Obviously, it's got some really screwed up crap in it.
Let's rule the galaxy as father and son.
Yeah.
We're gonna rule the north, me and you.
Yep.
Just a moment of silence
Just
here
a moment of silence for
the North.
his
For
dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
That the North remembers.
But no, I thought it was cool though. Eventually, how at pretty much every turn that Sansa was trying to escape and like pleading Theon for help, he just like kept turning her in.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh, come on,
Yeah,
Theon,
come on, bro.
man. Isn't there a shred of humanity left in you?
Right.
Did you
And then,
did you see it coming though? Like his eventual turn? Usually you can kind of see those
no,
coming.
because not with this show.
Okay.
No.
Good.
They don't want anything happy to happen. So I'm sure
Yeah.
their plummet off the wall here is just going to be to their death.
Yeah.
Season 6 going to open. And
Just never going to see
dead
either
bodies.
of them ever again.
No.
Yeah.
It's just going to open on their like just
Dead
annihilated, exploded corpses on the
Yeah.
the other side of that wall.
It was snowy, dude. Fluffy snow.
Fluffy
Broke their
snow.
fall.
Hope
It was
it
a long
snowed
fall,
lot,
though.
because that's a high wall.
It is a real high wall.
I know the other chick got tossed off the other
Yeah.
side onto the dirt and
Yeah.
busted her skull. So they're just
Right.
gonna like float into like the snow, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
that made me happy. For the brief moment of happiness in that episode.
Yeah, let's see what happened after that. Something really sad, probably.
Yeah.
That's the theme for this season.
Yeah. But he snapped out of it and he's like, all right, this is pretty heinous what's going on here. We gotta like try to get out of here. But it does suck that immediately after he does that, like, oh, who's strolling through the gates? Oh, it's Ramsay and his men. We probably should
fresh off
here.
The battlefield.
Yeah.
Just stabbing people in their
oh
pain.
Yeah, brutal. Yeah.
And he like goes to like the story. He's like,
here.
oh, one more.
One more. Yeah. It's so good, man. Yeah, he's great. I think that actor, I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything else, but I think he's great. Ramsay Bolton's actor. I don't even know his name, to be honest with you, but
he's probably in a ton of stuff. If you look
probably.
I love his like tongue-in-cheek humor though, because his character basically says everything that we're thinking like during these scenes.
Yeah.
Like that whole like tense thing was like I like laughed.
That
out
was
loud.
tense.
Yeah.
Glad we got that out of the way. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the Bolton Sansa arc.
Yeah,
and the bit about all that. So obviously, like that's the end of Stannis, right? We've touched on the end of Stannis, but obviously Stannis, end of last season, he looks like a hobbit.
He does look like a hobbit.
He does.
Yeah.
he looks like a Gollum in the flashbacks.
Dude, he does. I almost text you guys that. I'm like, this is like human Gollum. Like, yes.
Wow.
Good catch, Civ. Read my mind.
But yeah, Stannis, he swoops in, saves crushes the wildlings, kind of sends them running back, and they're hanging out in Castle Black. Now I don't know how they fit this whole army in Castle Black, or they're all just camped outside, but also Castle Black has a lot of food and like stuff. Like they just provisioned an army for a very long time. As soon as this army leaves, they get their like once again mobbed by the snow. Like they're just freezing to death out there. So I'm like, man, they're just having a rough time. They shouldn't have left.
I do like a lot of the interactions with Stannis at Castle Black with all of them, with Jon Snow, everything. I love, like you said earlier, Stannis's acting in this. It does seem like it elevated a little bit, or at least maybe he got interested in his role.
He's like, I'm somewhere other than my castle. But speaking of like video game elements, like I was like, Stannis is some weird character that's just like running around talking to all the NPCs in the castle and like. And like either giving out quests or it's weird. Like he just keeps popping in for like a 5-minute chat, talks to old Sam in the library where he's just like, keep reading, Samwell. And he's just like asking just random questions and then he just leaves.
Yeah.
Then he keeps popping in on Jon Snow. It's like, hey bro, want me king in the north? Hey bro, like you want to do this? Hey, I need this. And Jon's like, I need chips. And like it's just weird because all this is happening in this castle. I'm like, no one's doing anything. It's just a lot of like one-off conversations of people trying to like piece together a situation out of this awkward situation is like wildlings, the Night's Watch, and then just Stannis shows up with a bunch of boats and
I like
his people.
how Stannis keeps like trying to get with Bay, but like she's like, no, there's more people with like king's blood in them.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Not into it.
This ship
anymore.
has sailed, Stannis.
Enough is enough, Stannis.
Yeah, she even goes and has a little chat with old Jon Snow.
Yes, she does.
I like that Jon thought about it. And like he kind of like entertained the idea. He was like, ah. And like I think that really, and good for her on like her acting too. Like she plays her role well in terms of like she was put out by that, and she kind of cold shoulders Jon throughout the rest of it. Like she does, like she always glances at him and just like just like turns away. So that's inevitably what led to Stannis's daughter being sacrificed because she didn't get what she needed from Jon. So who else is there of royal bloodline? Poor daughter, the poor princess. Yeah, and you can't, and that's the reason why like she's probably a little bit like that whole religion and that whole bit with her is like so hard to follow, like with the first watch, because it's like you can't pry too much in terms of the rules of like how this stuff operates. It's like, okay, I either need to sleep with a guy with king's blood and I can make some magic happen. But if you're a girl, I just need to burn you at the stake.
Right.
But if you're but if you're a bastard, I just need some leeches and I can do some magic. So it's like, what? Like, what's your rhyme and reason here for? Because even Stan's like, can we just do like some leeches or something? Like, why does my daughter need to get burned at the stake? Right. But like, random bastard of my brother gets like some leeches and like blue balls, and it's like, why? What's the rhyme and reason with how this magic works? And she's like, I just need to ride Jon for a minute and we can make some magic happen. And Jon's like, nah.
I do appreciate, especially this watch through, the lead up to Shireen getting burnt, where he sends what's his face away. And he's like, let your wife and daughter come with me. At least is like, no, my family's gonna stay here, and he's trying everything in his power to try to get them. So you don't, Mike, I don't know, like on the first watch through, you probably didn't even pick that up. Everything leading up to that, like he's sending away the one person who would probably stop this.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it to actually happen, but like I could feel the tension.
Something was building.
But I didn't think he would straight up just like follow through with it.
Yeah.
Because like up to that point, you can see while it's not like the best relationship, like he has a relationship with his daughter.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, he can't really do this, can he? Yep, he can.
Yeah, brutal scene, man. Absolutely. Like her screams, dude. Like,
yeah, those were good screams.
Yes,
well acted screams.
Screams,
like, and they went on just long enough where it's like it really needs to stop because like, it's really disgruntling. And then obviously it's one of those episodes that ends with just like no music.
Yeah,
and it's just,
so effective when that happens.
It is really. And I do like again going back to the background, like watching how disgusted all the soldiers are watching this pan out. Like you can tell this is not going to end well for Stannis and his army. Like you can almost see the mutiny coming when they all leave.
Overnight half of his force leaves, right?
Yeah.
It's a good flip too, because like his wife and Serene's mother, like she's just like, you just don't like her, because even in Stannis' story, like he was like, she wanted nothing to do with you, but like you're my daughter, like I brought in every maester and like we cured you, blah blah blah, because you're the princess, all that jazz. And like, her mother's just like disgusting to her. But then we get through this season and it's like you think Stannis is like building this very redeeming like father figure to her, and then it flips and like he's the one that's just like burner doesn't react. He's just like on a mission now, like Winterfell, right?
He's got that tunnel vision that he's had through the whole show. He's got one goal in mind. He doesn't care what happens in the process, and unfortunately Shireen succumbs to that.
And luckily his wife flips at the very end there, because even like right up to that end, like even staying next to him, she's like, this is for a good cause. This is a good thing. Like, as the Lord wills it. And it's like, oh my God, shut up. Like, no. And finally, luckily, she like flips and then hangs herself because she can't really live with herself for letting that happen. So
Yeah, I do really enjoy Stannis and the daughter's interaction right beforehand, even though it's like, at least I knew what was coming. It's really hard to watch when you know what's coming. But I do enjoy it. It's super sad because she's like I'll do anything to help you, and he's like, is there anything I can do? He's like, yes, there is. I'm like, I know what that thing is. I know what's coming. So
leeches,
last
minute, just some leeches.
Yeah. No leeches in the north, apparently.
Yeah, too cold.
Yep.
So yeah, that was mega sad. But yeah, there are a lot of stuff, a lot of things happening up at Castle Black after Stannis leaves, and even while he's there. Jon Snow gets elected as Lord Commander, which is cool. Short-lived, but cool. We get oh shoot, what's the wildling's name? That
Tormund the redhead?
Tormund, that's it. Yeah, so we have the conversation with Tormund where he's like, Mance isn't here to lead anymore, but obviously the wildlings are gonna follow me, but they have your respect, and as long as they're north of the wall, they're screwed. We know what's out there. Let's talk them into coming here. There's land here. We can give them land, and they just got to like fight with us when the White Walkers arrive, basically. So they set out to do that, to recruit these wildlings, and we get like the awesome battle at Hardhome.
Yes, and this is one of my favorite episodes, hands down. And the reason for that is unfortunately for Mike, he probably didn't have this coming because I was kind of like, hey, bro, you got to watch 8. You got to watch 8 on a TV and focus. And unfortunately, the episode, if you watch it on HBO, it shows a White Walker now. At the time when this first aired, this came out of the freaking blue, dude. You had no idea that this was coming. And I remember vividly watching this with a couple guys at the fire department, and at the end of the episode, like the minute-long silence, and then my buddy just going, holy shit. I'm like, dude, like what the hell just happened? But
what do you mean there wasn't a White Walker?
When you click on the episode, there was a White Walker as the picture.
Oh.
That was not in when it aired originally. You had no idea this was coming. Like, absolutely came out of the blue. And I think it's so well done, dude. It's one of
episode 8
best.
too.
And it's episode 8. That's the other kind of curveball, because this stuff you would typically think is going to happen in episode 9, right? But dude, everything about it is so good. Like even the interaction before everything happens, but once things start popping off, like the thunder and the cloud of snow coming over, everything about it, dude. Like I can't believe you said that this episode isn't as cool as you remember it, because dude, it's like every time I watch
I knew it was coming.
But yeah, I've watched it like 75 times, and I still love every minute of it.
I love how every time the crows see the giant, they're just like
blown away.
Yeah.
But I love the when they tell them to shut the gates, and then you can hear the chaos behind it going on, and then it just goes silent. Like it's so eerie. There's so many super eerie things just in that sequence. The White Walkers up on the ridge line, just watching the chaos. 4 of them up on the horse.
4 horsemen.
Yeah, so eerie, dude. That in the music in this episode, in this fight scene, is on point, dude. Every time you see those things, the music that's playing, it just gives it a super eerie vibe. Same with the White Walker kids and the music that plays there. It's very, very unsettling. Yeah. And then everything leading up to that, when you hear that like kind of loud scream, and then they all like waterfall off the cliff, like, oh dude, it's so good, man. Like that's so cool. Like they just have no regard for their lives. They just tumble and then get back up and fight. So cool, dude. And I love the variations of the White Walkers designs. Like some of them were like maybe killed last week and they still have skin. Some of them are just straight skeletons, you know?
And then you have the fresh bodies from outside the gate.
Yeah.
The wildling chick was just like smashing. Was awesome until the kids came, and then
the
she
kids
was frozen.
Dude. Super.
I love
like
giant.
how much we don't like fens.
Oh, dude, the giant. Yeah,
exactly.
The giant just. Nick. What'd you say?
I like how much we don't like fens.
Yeah.
There's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they really are. I love that character. I thought, to be honest with you, it's cool. Weird that you meet her so early and you kind of feel for her dying so quickly, because you meet her in this episode, and I was like, dude, that sucks that she died, because I loved her.
Yeah, she was cool.
But yeah,
the giant dude just like ripping him off his back, and then when he gets the giant pole, definitely did not, Nick, make me think of Valheim trolls. Taking care of business for me in the Black Forest. But,
I like how he just walks into the water and he's just annoyed, grabbing them and throwing them.
Yeah, it's so good. That whole like single shot of Jon Snow walking from one side to the other that ends with the giant busting out of the. I'm like, dude, this is so well filmed. Like everything about it is perfect. Well, but I love him just like flicking him.
He just keeps like picking them off. But man, like, we got to talk about the Valyrian steel.
Yeah. So the whole purpose of that panning shot is the Night's Watch brought dragon glass with them to kind of show the wildlings, like, hey, one of our guys killed a White Walker with this thing. We have a bunch of it. We could get more. Yada yada yada. When stuff pops off, it gets left in the tent. So that whole panning shot is him walking over to the tent through the chaos to get to that dragon glass. And then he gets in there with one of the Thens. And I love this part because the White Walker design, way better than they were originally. The naked loincloth ones that we've seen so far.
They were in armor yet. They were like they were just picking
up
scouting.
They're scouting.
Yeah, they're chilling. But I love that he walks through it and it puts all the fire out around it. It's super cool touch that he's like so cold. He's putting out all the fire. And then they do kind of throw it in your face, like steel weapons are not going to work, and like they're shattering like ice over and over. And Then goes down relatively easy, without a fight, because his weapon. Though. His axe is cool. Awesome. I'm always curious. Like, I feel like it's a horrifyingly ineffective weapon to fight with, because he's like getting it stuck in things, and then you got to pull it out, and it gets stuck in the ground. I'm like, dude,
so true.
Yeah, like just give up the axe, man. But
if you
they look
one thing
awesome.
with it, you get split in half.
Yeah,
you got that intimidation factor.
Yeah. But then we get a really cool fight sequence between Jon, who quickly you'll see, and if you watch the after episode thing, they talk about it. They said we wanted to get the Valyrian steel away from Jon for a little bit because of the reveal that we're going to get later on. So he loses that pretty quickly. And I love this fight sequence just because it's just got like such a horror. Like, he's just getting his ass kicked, tossed around this vent.
The sword flies out of the hut, too. Like, they make sure that you see it just fly away.
Yeah. And we see Jon finally gets a weapon and it gets shattered, and then he knocks him off the freaking thing. And I know that a lot of people don't like his jump off the thing, and they think it looks corny. I think it looks badass, him jumping down on him like that.
Giant frost man. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, right. And they meet outside. Jon finally gets back Longclaw, which we know is a Valyrian steel sword. We know there's not that many of them in the kingdoms. Not a lot of families have them in abundance, right? There's only maybe one in the royal families, if they have one. Ice, the sword that we were talking about earlier, that was a Valyrian steel sword that got melted down into two for the Lannisters, Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail, which was Joffrey's. Anyway, not a lot of these here. Jon kind of stands up in a panic to block this ice spear coming at him, and they lock swords. And I love the White Walker's face. He's like,
well, they're both
so
like,
they're
both look at each other
like,
we both know that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right. Yeah. And then I just love that it takes one more swing to kind of pop him into ice cubes, which is so cool. But the coolest part of this whole fight sequence is the Night King sitting up on the ledge, just like watching, like, oh, shit, like what's this guy about? Like he just killed one of my dudes. Like that's not supposed to happen. That weapon should have shattered, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this episode? Dude, I love this episode. If there's an episode that I would watch of Game of Thrones for the rest of my life, it'd be this one.
When you say episode, you just talk about this last 20 minutes.
Yeah. The action sequence is what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I think this one for me finally like ignited the like desire to see more of this stuff.
Yeah.
Not that because I think in earlier episodes I've talked about how like I'm interested in this and I want to see how this story pans out, but
there's just so much more
action wise it hasn't lived up to the other action sequences we've seen in other story arcs.
Yeah,
but this one like finally it gets to that level and it's so cool.
Yeah, and I think a reason this like bit hits so hard, especially on the first watch, like it comes out of nowhere, and that's because we've gotten so far, like Mike just said, it's all so slow paced. Like we get them around Sam where there's kind of like zombieing through lumbering, the snow,
yeah,
and it's all real small scale stuff. But all of a sudden, like they are just like at 100%, just like mauling things. Like you know what, we're just gonna kill. Oh, right. We're just like we need a bigger army. So
yeah,
rip all the wildlings outside the gate.
Right.
I'm going. I guess like the way I think about it in my mind, I'm like, they already got a bunch of people on the boats. Because otherwise it kind of seems like they just started loading the boats and then they show up. But like they got a bunch on the boats. Because that's one thing like that's always an issue in this show is just like number wise, like
logistics.
Yeah.
Just like in last season, like the Castle Black when they're defending the wall, like there's only 100 crows. I'm pretty sure we see like 200 get stabbed.
Yeah. I think that I think that it can come across that they're just starting to load the boats, but to me, it almost seems like they're finishing because John's like, we're leaving too many behind here. Like we got them, we got majority of them on, and there's like a whole village of them over there, which obviously doesn't pan out with the rest of the episode. But
I think what also makes this so good is you see the sheer power, of the White Walkers. Is like, they escaped, so I guess you could call it a victory for the crows, but like everyone they killed and like
it's a massacre, bro.
He's just like rise my army, and it's just basically like so the Night King can battle res. That's cool.
That's
a mass battle res.
That to me, I love that scene, and I've used that gif at least with Nick a couple times of him raising his hands. Just so badass, dude. Like his slow walk down the thing, his kind of mean mugging, locking eyes with John
at each other,
and then he just kind of looks back at the chaos behind him, and then the slow hand rise, dude. It's just so good. Like that's a perfect way to end that episode, and he's just standing there with his hands just mean mugging. I love it. I love it. My wife says that he's smiling in that scene. I didn't see a smile. Maybe in one instance he has like a little bit of a smirk on his face, which is even more badass, I think. But
it's just a tingle from raising all those things from the dead.
We are gonna get a slight art change to the Night King here coming up. He's not gonna look identical to the way he does here, which I like the second Night King a little bit better than this one, but this one's still cool, especially with everything that he just did prior, because like my buddy said, holy shit. Like, because you don't know, you're right about the power thing. You don't know going into this. We haven't seen them fight. We've seen them walk, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen massive
walkers.
Yeah,
exactly. And we've just seen the one like one-on-one encounter with Sam.
And
Sam kills him.
Yeah, and
so
Sam
you're
kills
like,
him,
okay.
Right. But it's like as if everything leading up to the waterfall part wasn't like crazy. It's the waterfall part that you're like, oh, dude, like this is crazy. Like they have zombies. They're wild. Absolutely wild.
Exactly.
But I like the fact that even though they are zombies and this storyline can feel very zombie-like, I like that they have like a leadership that's not zombies. This is just like their army. They're soldiers, which is so cool.
Moment of silence for the Lord of Bones. He
Yeah.
got his shit kicked in.
That did not last long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
just
I just love Tormund, or what's his name?
Tormund.
He's
Yeah.
just great. Like, he's
Yeah.
great all the time. And he's like, I'm not commanding. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Gather the elders.
Right. And I also appreciate that none of the elders are actually elders either. like there's maybe like one or two of them that are actually
Just leaders of the
I know,
the
but
clans. Whoever that may be.
that bone. I just like seeing the way that the wildlings do things differently. Like Tormund just beats the shit out of him and then moves on with his life, and nobody else cares. They're like, okay,
it's like, all right, that happened.
All right.
I love the bone dude's like armor.
Oh,
like, we talked about it last time when
Didn't
he was like introduced, but like, it looks so cool though.
It does.
Lord of Bones, that's his name.
Lord of Bones.
Yeah, like I
Bones,
think
bro.
also the best part is when they get back to Castle Black and John's kind of just talking with Sam, and he's just like, Sam's like, well, what are we gonna do? And John's like, well, hope they can't climb over the wall, basically.
Because that was rough. We can see them fall down walls.
I
don't know.
I also like
very optimistic of John to just hope that, because after seeing that battle, it looks like they can just kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
I also love how he figures out Sam became a man while he was gone.
Yeah.
He's like,
how
I'm
did
glad,
you do it?
glad the end of the exactly. I'm glad the end of the world's treating someone good or something like that. But yeah, so like the important things here, like obviously we have that battle. We have the recruitment of the wildlings happening. Jon Snow being elected the Lord Commander. Master Aemon dies.
Yes.
Rip.
Good funeral.
It was very touching.
Losing all your friends, Jon
And
Snow.
really, we really did breeze over that. There's really like almost a split down the middle of people that are on Jon's side versus the other.
Oh yeah, Jon won by like Master Aemon's vote.
One vote,
So,
literally a tie. So
yeah, so he's not. He doesn't have the overwhelming support of everyone, which makes sense, right?
It's worth noting that
was running, and then some other random dude from another castle, right?
Yeah, he got like 5 votes.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Nick?
But even that split down the middle, his decision with the wildlings, like, because even the kid
Ollie and like his one of the trio of friends, the one that obviously didn't die, is like I don't
people who voted for him are now, at least half of the people who voted for him are not on board anymore. So
and you can't, even though I freaking hate Ollie with every being of my soul at this current moment, because like, what a turd. You can't blame him. Like, he's a kid that watched these guys slaughter his entire family. So it's totally understandable.
And it wasn't that long ago.
No,
he didn't have time to get over it, really.
Right.
But also it's like, I mean, obviously I'm viewing this from a position of it being a story told to me in entertainment. Like, I'm sure I would probably feel some sort of way if I was Ollie or one of the other crows, but I feel like some of them are very short-sighted, and they know of the White Walkers. Like, they know what's out there, and they, like, Jon Snow is very clearly like, this is the only way we can like survive this. Like, it's gonna take everyone to band together here. But people still I mean, I know it sucks, right? And you're taking a huge risk. They might come and murder the rest of you, but like, would you rather try that and maybe have a chance at not ending, like being the end of the world, or are you just going to be stubborn and short-sighted and be like, no, screw the wildlings? But again, I'm in a position of like complete detachment. This isn't real life. I'm just watching a show. Like, my brain automatically goes there.
It goes back to your point of like, you didn't really care about the White Walkers leading up to this episode, and that really in universe they only know that they exist. A couple of people have seen them, and Samwell killed one. So, like, of course,
True.
we're
Very
probably
valid
going to
point.
be okay. John and the people there, they're the only ones that actually have seen, including us, the viewer, what they're actually capable of.
That's a very good point.
So it's totally understandable that they're not on board with,
Yeah.
like, they've been fighting these wildlings for centuries.
They're still spooked
like,
by giants.
Yeah,
Those
right.
Giant.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so true. But then again, like if you're hearing the stories that John's telling and you're spooked by a giant, wouldn't that make you even more spooked of
You would
what
think,
just happened? But
yeah.
no, what you're saying makes total sense, and I totally forgot about that as I was going on my rant. But yeah, John does not have a lot of supporters at this point.
Right.
No, not at all. So the White Walker weapons just like shatter steel, right?
Yeah.
So the gates to the tunnel are that classic 4-inch rolled cold steel or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you just like hit it with one of their weapons, does it just shatter?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We'll break that down later because I do have an interesting point on that later.
Like later tonight? Or
no,
like
definitely not later tonight. At a future date.
Okay.
But I would think that I would think that it would, yeah, because it's shattering every other steel unless it's got to be like
the tunnel has plot armor because you can't just
yeah, right.
This tunnel that we've heard so much about.
So I do want to touch on, we finally get to see this freaking King's Landing dude get his head cut off by John. I love that scene. I think it's great because he's just being a total douchebag the whole time, and he's like finally gives in.
He also was like, "You're not gonna do it." Like, he's up
like,
until like the point of getting his head chopped off. He was like, "There's no way he's about to do this."
Yeah,
and John up to this point like hasn't. Like every time he's been charged to do so, he like backs out.
Just like old Ned. Ned had to execute that guy back in season 1, and we all know what happened to Ned.
Right. So I do like that when he's down, he's like, I'm scared. I've always been scared. And you just see like a flip switch in John where he's like, okay, like if you're scared, dude, like you're going to be real scared. So I'm glad that this guy's gone because I can't freaking stand him. He's a turd hiding with the woman and baby during the fight at the wall.
I love how Sam straight up like, again, public shame.
Public shaming him. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is there's no recourse, right? Once you're part of the Night's Watch, you can't do like, I guess they could send you north of the wall and like banish you north of the wall. That is the only other thing I could think of. Otherwise, you're locked up forever or you're murdered because the Night's Watch is like the punishment.
Yeah.
It's like the alternate like punishment for death in the rest of the kingdoms.
I think the punishment within the Night's Watch is getting sent to one of the other dilapidated temples, which they were going to do, or I think maybe Stannis recommended that John do with what's his face.
Send him to East Watch or whatever.
Send him to East Watch. But I do really like that he didn't, and he made him First Ranger. I thought that was really a good play on John. Obviously, it didn't pan out very well, but it felt like he was like, okay, like I want to keep you close, and let's just like let this crap go. Like we got much more important stuff to do than bickering between each other. Unfortunately, he didn't see it that way, but we'll let Mike break down his favorite scene of the season.
Wait, is this it? This is
no, because we got to talk about Sam like wanting to become a maester.
Oh yeah.
Finds himself, which I love so much. It's like the perfect thing. Like this, Sam is destined to be a maester.
Yeah.
So I was so happy. But as soon as he left, I'm like, okay, something not good at Jon Snow is gonna happen because he literally has nobody in his corner right now.
Yeah.
Did I expect what happened to come? No. Is there anything else important here before I talk about why I'm never watching this show again?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. So 5 seasons, great run, fits right in the Showboy standard sweet spot of show length. But yeah, this is one of my 3 predictions of characters that are gonna survived to the end of the show, which I think was rightfully so, like, thought of in my mind, as Jon Snow is driving the North storyline, or the White Walker storyline. I don't want to say the North storyline because that's not entirely true. But yeah, like, Ollie, what a dirtbag! Like, lures Jon out because the wildling knows where Benjen is, and of course, Jon wants to find Benjen so bad. That's the whole reason a lot of this stuff started out in north of the wall.
Yeah.
And there's just a bunch of crows like around this corner of the castle, and Jon goes in, and it's just a sign that says traitor, and then one by one they just stab Jon to death in a public shanking. Much different than public shaming, which I'm a fan of. Not a fan of public shanking. Let's get those two things cleared up. But yeah, I mean, like, again, one of the true, like, purely motivated good guy heroes of the story wiped out again. So why do I continue watching? There's no true hero. Everyone is marred with some sort of impurity, impure motives, self-seeking. Jon literally wants to save the world, and he died.
Yeah,
and they don't even leave it open-ended in terms of, like, the blood just pulls.
Yeah, no,
like,
he lost too much blood.
50 times.
Yeah. And Joe, yes. So if Mike is done watching this, I guess you can say his watch has ended. Indeed, sir.
Good
I actually, as
Very
soon
good.
as this episode ended, I took Chad's DVD set, went out to the fire pit,
and burn it.
Did the ceremony in the fire pit.
4 quarters of the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I was actually really concerned that I may have spoiled this for you, because earlier on in the week we were talking some sort of podcast stuff, and I said for the watch, and then you sent me back a GIF of some sort. I was like, dude, if he typed in for the watch, like, this is the only scene you're gonna see if you type in for the watch. I'm like,
no, I didn't
bro,
do that, but
like, no.
I remember one of us getting an article for the newscast for a Jon Snow spinoff, and then you guys were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that means something or other.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it because it's a spoiler." So I'm like, I figured at some point something would happen to Jon, but then I was like, it can't be. He's the last bastion of hope.
But you felt the same way about Ned, didn't you?
Yeah, I know, and I hate it.
And Rob.
That's why I've been
Rob.
scorned
twice.
twice,
Rob.
thrice now.
Yeah.
So 3 times, is that's the line in the sand for me.
Well, maybe you just need to, like, now hang on that, like, Sansa's going to be this redeeming Stark character that, like,
she's dead,
saves
dude.
the world.
She just plummeted to her death off the wall.
Oh, that's right.
As far as he knows, she's done.
They didn't show her dead, though. So if they're not shown dead, they're not dead.
True.
There's kind of dead.
Yeah, Joe, I've done this too many times. I don't like change.
Yeah.
Time to switch teams, bro.
I'll be honest.
We're running out of teams. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. This death hit me way harder than Rob, dude. Like, this crippled me. And I want
to hear your reactions.
Yeah.
When you first watched this.
Yeah. Well, so it was the same kind of setup as before, as we were watching it at work. And I got a call, and the guy that was watching it didn't have to go on that call. So I went on the call, came back, and he was watching it back in the dorm. He had gone to bed
in the fetal position, crying.
And it's like, well, let me finish the story. So it's it's like 11 o'clock at night. He went to bed. I no longer care about Game of Thrones. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I'll watch it tomorrow. But as I'm walking through the hallway to the dorms, I can literally hear him screaming, no, what? No. And I'm like, oh, this can't be good. Like, either something horrendous is going on in this dorm, or he's watching the final part of this episode. So I ended up like, okay, well, I have to know which one it is. So I ended up watching it. that night, like on my iPad, dude. And it crippled me for like the entire year and a half that I had to wait. Also, just crippling through the whole year and a half, dude. Like it crushed me. Probably the most heart-wrenching death I've ever seen in anything ever. Any show, any movie, anything. It just ruined me.
Did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
Did it affect you more than Opie?
Opie was rough. Yeah, Opie was rough, but this definitely for sure. Yeah.
Okay, because that's always the one that's like, yeah, that's the
Opie's,
bar for me.
Dude, yeah.
So I don't know if this one surpasses Opie, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It just and just the absolute freaking hatred I had for Ollie after this. Like I was like, dude, I hope the freaking White Walker chews his head off. I don't even care about this kid anymore.
It doesn't help Ollie's case like while you're watching this on the second watch this season because you're like, oh, you're such a little scumbag.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, you're such a little snake, and you can see it building up through the season as he's like, you can tell that people are in his ear and he's like asking questions to Sam and trying to figure it out. But dude, like just scumbag. Like I don't even want to see this kid's face again.
What about you, Nick?
It was sad. It was really sad. Oh, I mean, at this point, like you, Mike, it's you kind of have learned to accept it way too quickly because it's just like Rob, Ned, like but what I think was a little different is like it was a really big death as like the literal closer to the season.
Yeah.
Which is the hard part because the other big deaths, like they had usually the final episode to kind of like restring the, you know, what you had to like live on for in the show. This was just like nail in the coffin, see you in 2.5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. Joe, 100%. He says, I didn't even want to shop at Ollie's anymore.
Yeah.
Might be a Northeast Ohio, reference for any of our listeners. I don't know if Ollie's is a nationwide franchise, but yeah, I'm glad the Ollie's closest to my house no longer exists because if it did,
just remind
I don't know what would happen. Yeah. I don't know.
For the watch. Is he even part of the watch? Can he even say for the watch?
No, like, he's not. He's just a little freaking homeless dude. I can't stand that kid. Like, get him the hell out of here.
He just runs the elevator.
Yeah, well, he just runs the elevator.
He's the bellhop of Castle Black, and he gets the final blow on Jon Snow.
It's the final blow on Jon Snow.
Yeah. Especially Jon's like reaction to him. Like, it's just rough to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. Even now watching it, I can't.
Yeah,
that sting is still very fresh.
I'm sure it'll bounce back and be fine. But
like I said, they don't give you that episode at least before the end of the season to like get you there.
Give you.
Luckily, I have 3 seasons sitting on HBO Max that I can just start tomorrow. If I wanted to,
lucky you.
So that probably eases the pain, but.
Yeah, the cold close and then like a year, like the 2-year wait for.
Yeah, it was literally a year and a half we had to wait.
Yeah, it was not cool.
But yes, that is why our Throwback Thursday series has come to a conclusion. It was great. I hope we got you guys hyped up for the House of Dragon series coming soon. Make sure you let us know if you like this concept for a series for the podcast, and we have a couple shows lined up if you guys enjoy the Throwback Thursdays that we'll branch out into. I don't know, I mean, I enjoyed my time and I'm glad that I finally got around to watching this historical series.
See you in 2 weeks for episode 6.
Yeah.
Which I have a feeling Mike is going to be equally upset at episode 6.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
It's going to redeem itself the whole time. The whole time.
I do want to.
And then it's going to crush you.
I do want to bring something up. Yeah, it's definitely going to crush you. I do want to bring something up though. Why are you not watching it on a TV?
Because I have too much stuff to watch. Because we had Stranger Things episodes, so I had to watch Stranger Things Part 1. in between seasons here. I now have to watch Stranger Things Part 2 for next week, which while it's only 2 episodes, it's like 4 hours of episodes.
Facts.
So yeah, it's just a time thing. So
okay, but there's like some episodes coming up that you deserve to watch on a TV.
Right. I think
it's not the whole season. It's just an episode. One episode. Right. 2 episodes.
But I think actually. You discount how much I pay attention while I'm watching, while I'm working.
He's watching.
I get that. I get that. That has nothing to do with it. You're all about going to the theater and experiencing movies on the big screen. I'm talking the big screen. I don't care about you paying attention.
That is true.
You proved to yourself through these first 5 episodes that you're paying attention. It's about watching some of these episodes on the big screen.
And you suggested 8, 9, and 10, obviously, for TV watching. And if it wasn't for the 4th of July,
America messed it up.
America messed it up, man. Because I was like, I had my plan. Friday, I watched episodes 1 through 4. Monday, I was like, okay, I got my usual report in the morning. I can slam out 5, 6, and 7 during the morning at work. I can watch episode 8 Monday night, episode 9 Tuesday night, episode 10 last night, and be good. But then a Monday morning came, I'm like, oh crap, I don't work today.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to watch 4 episodes today. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, really, Nick's going to counteract this probably, but really, for my money, you'd need to watch 9 of this upcoming season. It just has to happen. I don't care if you have to quit your job, call off for the day, or whatever you have to do. 9 has to be watched on a TV. Like, it just has to happen.
So it is 10.
Yes. See, I knew he was going to throw 10 in there. I agree with 10 also, 10. But I'm trying
9
and
to 10
parlay a little bit here.
Those ones are easy
up what
because
happens in 10.
9 and 10 are easy. Those I can hit on a Tuesday and Wednesday night right up to the episode, that we cover season 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me know if there's other ones, and then I can accommodate.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
9, right, Nick? 9 has to happen.
9's legit.
I think 5. If you can squeeze another one in, I think 5 is a good one to watch on the TV for sure. But if not, certainly 9 and 10. And then when we get to 7 and 8, I mean, it might be a lot that I would recommend that you watch on a larger screen. I would have preferred you watched Hardhome on the bigger screen. I think it's I'd love to watch it like in a theater somewhere.
Yeah, it's a shame that I can't watch it anymore. I wasted my opportunity of watching that on the TV. But no, Joe chimed in, by the way, a few minutes ago. Sorry. His reaction, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. Except mine was more sad and angry.
Yeah.
Yours seemed like just shock. Mine was like 98% anger, 2% sadness.
Yeah, I mean, I was there with you. I was probably 98% sadness and then 2% just ready to strangle Ollie. Poor actor. If he would have been in the same room,
boy
he's
you
done.
See,
he's done.
Just like, but no, yeah. So I don't know. Season 5 as a whole, enjoyed it. Things are getting crazy.
Where does it rank amongst the rest of the seasons for you? What's your favorite season been so far?
And what team are you on?
Well, we're running out of teams, but I would say probably this is. Oh, Joe says, my wait, what was for Mike saying the podcast series was over.
Oh.
Hey, I had some great delivery then. That's awesome.
It was good.
No, it's not over. I have to watch. I have to finish. This season ranking amongst the others, I thought 4 was pretty good. But yeah, 5. I think there were a lot of major things that moved the major story arcs forward. So it also might just be because I just finished it, but probably season 5 strongest so far. As far as what team I'm on, well, I mean, I don't like anyone at Castle Black now.
Rip.
But I feel like I have to still be on like the Night's Watch team because they're the defenders of the realm. So like, what choice do I have? But they suck now.
Yeah.
Team Sansa?
I'm always on Team Sam, but he's
Maester
useless
Sam.
right now until he becomes the Grand Maester.
Yes,
but still going to be useless.
Yeah.
But I love him. But yeah, and now Tyrion and Dany are together. Well, I mean, not together, but they were together.
Or are they?
They're probably going to be together again, I'm assuming. So Team Dany Lannister.
It's a good team to pick.
Yeah.
And they're still my
Lannister.
two the Dannisters. There we go. I like it.
Lanny.
Yeah. They're still my two horses left in the race after last episode. I said Jon Snow, Tyrion, and Dany are going to survive till the end.
Yeah, that panned out well.
Tyrion and Dany are going to survive to the end because, honestly, running out of characters to say will survive to the end. Probably, much to my dismay, Cersei will survive to the end, and I will hate myself. But also, you guys, I've learned so far that you guys have pretty bad poker faces because when I said that last time, there were smirks and giggles when I said Jon Snow, so I also had that in the back of my head. So. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I still call Dany and Tyrion, but we'll I've been wrong at every turn of predictions thus far, so I'm sure I will be proven wrong again. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know. You guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap up here? Anything else we need to hit on?
We basically hit on everything.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Nice. Well.
Queen Cersei for the win.
Shame. Yes, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Joe and Civ, of course, as always, and Jordan. Thanks for chiming in the comments. We always love interacting with you guys during the show.
5, 9, 10, season 6
5,
on
9,
TV.
10.
You have to do it, Mike.
All right. It's noted.
Civ said so.
That's right. In agreement with both of you.
Did he say 5? Oh yeah, 5.
5, 9, 10,
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, season 6 will be covered in 2 weeks. Next Thursday, I believe we're gonna be touching on Stranger Things Part 2, which I'm very excited about. And Monday night we have the newscast coming up, and we'll probably make a little announcement on Monday night too as well. So hope to see you on Monday night. Check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe at Showboys Gaming. Follow us on Twitch. We have Patreon, Discord, website, showboysmedia.com. Anything else, lads, or are we heading out of here?
We're heading out of here.
All right. Well, we hope to see you guys Monday. Thanks again. Our watch has ended tonight.
Paused.
Yeah. Bye.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king. Knowledge is power.
Grandfather, tell me about the Targaryen girl and her dragons.
The skull of the last of them was right here. It was the size of an apple.
The biggest was the size of a carriage.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Dracarys.
I'm afraid of a dead horse.
The Red Woman, Eric Dondarrion, the Wrath of Mir, feeling pain, the mountain.
Would you shut up?
The Hound.
And now their watch is ended.
I wish I could cry on command because I totally would have done that. But listening to that song, man, Arya's list is getting shorter.
It is. Yes.
Who's on that list?